This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Oakland Athletics.
Rooker, it's a fly ball to deep center. Robert going back at the track. He will turn and watch it fly.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
Adolis Garcia sends one the other way. That sends Carroll back. He's at the wall. Legend grows. Ronald Acuna, another milestone in a truly historic season.
Julio with an absolute nuke out to left field.
It's Glaber Day. And like a good Glaber, Torres is there.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe. From humidors to Stuff Plus to walk-off dingers, we have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
All right, everybody. It is time for a little A's Cast Live. We have an incredible show for you today. You're going to love the guest. Ron Darling, former A. World Series champion with the Mets in 1986 and now has become one of the best television color commentators in our business. He is going to be joining us coming up here at 1:45. I did not realize this. Now, obviously, he's been doing the Mets for years. He and the great Keith Hernandez, who should be in the Hall of Fame.
Agreed.
They have been rated for many, many years. I don't buy the awful announcing stuff comes out. Who votes on that?
It's a great question. I'd have to research it, but theirs for this year came out already, I'm pretty sure.
Who's voting on that? Are you voting on that? Is it who votes on this? Because they get number one every year, but they've been rated kind of number one from a lot of people.
Came out in July. I'm not sure who votes on it. It's just an awful announcing.
Is it fans? Is it who is?
We had over 13,000 votes cast with an average. Okay.
All right. Seriously. Who's voting on it? Fans?
Awful announcing's readers have voted on their favorite and least favorite local MLB broadcast teams for 2024.
Who? Fans?
Fans and awful announcing readers.
Right. But anyway, they've won Emmys. They've done so. Ron Darling has had an incredible career. Did not know until I was researching it today that Ron Darling joined MLB Network. You want to take a guess?
When they first started, 09?
No.
Later? 2012.
2013. He's been there almost 10 years. Because in the offseason, he's in studio almost most days.
He's a big guy on MLB Now.
He's a big contributor. So Ron Darling will be here at 1:45. The A's farm system is going like this in the rankings. It's going like this. The future's going like this. Baseball America, ESPN, top prospects, top 100 prospects, all going up. Bill Moriarty from Athletics Farm will be here. Nobody, and I mean nobody, covers our farm system like Bill Moriarty. He'll join us at 2:30. And then our old friend. Can you get him for me, please? You're going to love this, A's fans. Our old buddy Sean Manaea is going to be here at 3 o'clock. I can tell you already, we've taped it because he's a player. They'll be out of batting practice when 3 o'clock hits West Coast time, or I don't know what he'll be doing. But I will ask him about this bobblehead. Sean Manaea was always a personal favorite of mine. I don't think people realize how long Sean Manaea was with the A's. It was a long time. Remember, he came over in 2015 in the Ben Zobrist trade. Made his debut in 2016. So I started interviewing Sean Manaea in 2015 and watch him grow as a person, as a man. I remember the great interview he gave us during COVID where he talked about his fiancée, then his girlfriend, who worked as an EMT in San Francisco, and how he donated things for the first responders in San Francisco. I'm a big fan of Sean Manaea as a person. I'm a big fan of him as a player because his numbers, he's back to starting again. His numbers, his last start wasn't great, but the 2 starts before that, it was like 7 shutout innings in both starts. He's having a pretty good year. He's rebounded. He's 8-5 with a 3.44 ERA, 23 starts, 123 innings. So he is back on pace to that 30-start guy that Sean Manaea was with the A's. Battles injuries. Remember, though, he came back as like 5-0, ended up starting the wild card game against Tampa. Didn't go great. But we're gonna go down memory lane and remember this date. April 21st, 2018. Sean Manaea, no hits. The Boston Red Sox, who would eventually be the World Series champions. So, I mean, they had a stacked lineup. We'll also talk about, and I bring up how we've had Alumni Sundays, and Chad Pender, we just did the interview with Chad Pender, and Pender talked about still to this day, this group, how close they are. And we'll talk to Sean Manaea about that group. That it's one of the runs that I think we're starting to build now, but it's one of those runs and it's one of those groups that we all love. We spent a lot of time watching Sean Manaea and Bassett and Frankie Montas. We spent a long time watching Olsen and Chapman and Marcus Semien, Chad Pender. You just think about all the guys. We have spent a lot of our life watching them perform and getting to know them and watching them grow as men. So you always you appreciate your time, the good guys. And this guy right here, definitely one of the good guys. 3:00, you're a big A's fan, 3:00. Sean Manaea will be here. New York Met Sean Manaea, who, man, I'm pulling for. And that's what gets me to start the show with the big takeaway, right? The big takeaway. That's my big takeaway today. My big takeaway is last night after I got done with postgame, after I got done with all those hoodlum callers that call me at night, you realize they all want to get together? You want to put all those guys in the same room?
I was there for some of that at the Coliseum when Greg from Slow and Road Trip Mike talked about it.
And Dennis were there.
Yeah.
We had just 3, and it was a debacle. Can you imagine we put them all in the same room?
The Titans of the A's clubhouse. Don't forget George. George will have to be there.
Towny.
He did it. He said it 3 times the other day.
I have such a special gift for him. He doesn't even know.
Yeah. We need to get that on. That has to be a video.
Yeah, that's why he's going to be in the treehouse. But anyway, for the Brewers game. So the big takeaway today for the show. After I got done, I go out back, smoking a cigar, hanging out. I'm watching Quick Pitch. I know I need to get a life. I love Quick Pitch. It is a great show. It gives me what I want. It gives me the highlights, Sports Center never did that. Sports Center gave you a highlight or two if it was a good. They give you the key moments in the games. It's both teams' broadcasters. Quick Pitch is the best highlight show ever in baseball history, bar none. Nobody sniffs it. So I watch it every night. And I'm watching it, and there's excitement. We're at that time of the year. That's the big takeaway. It's here, folks. Every one of these games you're watching, did the Dodgers win? Yes. But you know why they got to win? Because here's the Diamondbacks and here's the Padres, right? We are in the final stretch of the Major League Baseball season. It really hit me last night watching the highlights. You got to win, right? We're a sport that always pushes off. We love to push off urgency in our sport. It's early, right? We are not an urgent sport. Is that safe to say?
Confirmed, yeah.
All right. We don't have a whole lot. No one has urgency. Everybody's got time. We're all rebuilding. We're all, urgency is going away because right now we're really looking at the standings. And we'll talk to Sean Manaea about that because the Metropolitans, they're right in this thing. They are 2 games back right now because the A's are playing a role, right? The A's kind of helped put a dagger in Toronto, even though the dagger we just kind of pushed the dagger in a little bit more. But the A's are playing a part in this. And look at down the road. The Rays are still in this. A's have a series with the Rays. Milwaukee is still in first place. A's have a series with Milwaukee. The Bombers come to town.
The Giants.
Bombers and Orioles are going after it. It's only 2 games, but could we stick the ultimate dagger in the back of the Giants? You're done. You're done.
You mean kind of like how the Braves have been doing the last 2 nights at Oracle Park?
Yeah.
In extra innings?
So the A's, we play a role. That's one thing Billy Beane said to me years ago. And I'm glad I just thought of this. I didn't think of this last night as the big takeaway, but Billy Beane said this to me years ago, all the years doing the Billy Beane show every single week. Billy Beane, at heart, is very old school. Not necessarily how he built teams, but just the essence of the game. You may find this very odd, but Mickey Morabito are one of the greatest traveling secretaries of all time, one of the greatest personalities in baseball of all time. I mean, Mickey is a star. Mickey, everywhere Mickey goes in baseball, it's like everybody, Mickey Morabito.
It's like the Beatles showing up.
Mickey will tell you that from Sandy Alderson to Billy Beane to now David Force, that the A's have always traveled. I know this is crazy because we've been cheap with players. That is factual. I'm not going to deny that. I've never denied that. We've been cheap with players. We've never been cheap how we treat them, though. A's have always traveled first class. To a point when Bob Melvin, and I can say this now because he's no longer there, when Bob Melvin went to San Diego and was looking at the hotels, and Bob Melvin told their travel secretary with the Padres, remember the Padres were dumping all that money on players. Here's the Machado, Tatis, Melvin gets there, Bogarts, all this money they're dumping. Bob Melvin told the Padres, man, you got to step your game up with our travel. So we have always and that's because of Billy Beane kind of holding the tradition from Sandy Alderson that the A's, it's kind of like an old school, we travel great. Plane's great, stay all the hotels, Four Seasons, Ritz-Carltons. We say it all that. I mean, I've traveled with the A's. I'm telling you, it's first class, absolute first class. I've traveled with other teams. I'm telling you, with the A's, it's absolute first class. Food's great. So you got to remember, when you travel private, there's menus to be picked. That was another thing I was very lucky. The Raiders travel. We were on the big Hawaiian. NFL travel is different because it's a monster travel party. But when I was with the Raiders, we were Hawaiian Airlines. That was the sponsor. So we were on those monster Hawaiian airline planes, and the food, but you walk in, it's sushi. It was great. It was great. The other thing is that Beane told me, and it's one of the reasons why he never wanted to rebuild. He'd retool, but never rebuild. Because Beane in his heart believes you owe it to the rest of the team to always try and put something competitive out on the field. It's like totally anti-Jeffrey Luhnow. Luhnow said, screw you, the rest of the 29 teams. I'm going to tear this thing down to the studs. Mike Elias, who came from Jeffrey Luhnow, did the same thing in Baltimore. We're going to tear it down, and we don't care about being competitive. We don't care about the league and the product. Billy Beane said that. I don't do that because it's not right, and it's not right for the rest of the teams. It's not fair. It's not fair from a standpoint of the other teams who are battling each other to try and get in the postseason, and you're just, what if one team plays you more than the other, and that just kind of, in the end, decides how a division is decided. Billy Beane never wanted that. Now, he knew his teams wouldn't be great, but he never went full dumpster dive because of that old school. He does have a lot of old school in his baseball heart. I mean, as a player, as a scout, you don't lose that. Now, he realized a different way to build things, but he didn't go full, we're going full on full rebuild. Billy Beane never did that. And it's because out of respect to the other teams, he wouldn't go there. Could have, but he didn't. But that's where we are right now. This is the best time. I know we love the start of the year. We love spring training. I know we love the Midsummer Classic, the All-Star game, but this is it. Right now, every one of these games, when I look at these notes and I look at every probable starter, it matters now. Not to say it doesn't, as we've all learned from 2012, speaking of guys who played yesteryear A's. That series, that last series, and that last game against the Rangers doesn't matter if the Rangers won one more game in April or one more game in May. One more game in May. They all count the same, but there is something about our sport when we get to we start seeing the finish line, right? Like we just got done with the Olympics, and you're running the 800 meter, and you're doing all these laps, and all of a sudden you're starting to realize I'm starting to come around these turns, and before you know it, there's going to be the tape. Excuse me. There's going to be the finish line. The finish line is nearing. We're going to blink. I mean, it's August 14th, Cody.
I know. What September 30th is the end of the regular season. 29th, yeah. 29th is Sunday, the 29th of September. And then I think the playoffs start the 1st. October 1st.
You still have. I will give the cut. Your Pirates.
They're done.
Do you have the song? We're going to start utilizing. It's becoming my favorite song.
Happy trail.
Oh, Shelty.
Until we meet again.
We love Shelty. Friend of the program, Derek Shelton, manager of the Pirates. It's been a great story, right? Skeens comes up. Livy Dunn's in the stands. Let's put the Pirates back on national television. Happy trails, my friend.
What do you mean? They've only lost like 9 straight. It's fine. Everything's fine. Steelers training camp's well underway, and football's right around the corner.
O'Neal Cruz yesterday.
Oh, God.
First inning, double play ball, clank.
I mean, the mistakes he's making are just – they're not
What was the final in the game, 3-2?
I think it was 3-0. I think they got shut out.
Clank, and well, it would have been 0-0 because the Padres got how many runs out of that? 2 runs,
yeah.
2 or 3 runs. I mean, you like gift wrapped the Padres a win yesterday. Pirates are done, but I think you could actually say the Cubs at 5 back of the last wild card. Would you say they still got a slugger's chance?
Yeah, I heard earlier that they actually have the easiest remaining schedule of teams in the National League that's still in the playoff race, so they could very easily get back into this.
So now what I'm talking about for the big takeaway, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8 teams for 3 spots. You got 3 wild cards. That's 8 teams right now in the National League who you can say, yeah, they still got a shot. So then that would put us at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 teams in the American League. So here we are on August 14th, and we still got a boatload of teams. You're 1 run away from being right in this thing, or you're 1 run away from getting away from it. Baltimore and New York are going like this every day, top of the standings in the AL East. Minnesota is trying to bury Kansas City right now.
They're playing right now.
Red Sox are still in this thing. Mariners are still in this thing. My God, it's horrible what Mariners collapsing again 2 straight years. Because remember last year, Texas owned the West and then fell. And there the Mariners were, oh, look how great we are. And they tanked it down the end and didn't even make the playoffs. But that's the best part of baseball. We've got all these teams that are in this thing. And bringing it back, as we always do to the A's, we're going to play a role. And right now, you do not want to play the A's because the A's at 21-13 have the best record in the American League since July 1st. That's saying something. They are playing better. By the way, not good news for today's game and probably tomorrow. May not even be good for the first game in San Francisco. It's good news. It's just we're selfish sometimes. But Brent Rooker is not going to be around for a couple days. His wife is having a baby. How dare she have a baby during his best year?
Yeah, I mean, we just saw this recently. Wasn't Seth Brown just put on the paternity list
Yeah.
too? So, I mean, we've had multiple guys. Congratulations, nonetheless.
Yes,
but,
congratulations on your child.
yeah, congratulations on having a child, but we need you in the lineup.
I don't know. You may be having twins. I don't know. But Brent Rooker is not. Congratulations to the Rookers. I don't know. He has left the team, so obviously it's about to go down, maybe going down right now. So Brent Rooker will not be with the team. As we told you yesterday, Kyle Muller, Kyle Muller's cleared waivers. He's going to be going to Las Vegas.
That's a left-handed pitcher, Kyle
Not
Muller.
right-handed.
It's left-handed today.
Well, I don't know. Has he changed? Does PR know? Because we put it out on Twitter and a press release that Kyle Muller was right-handed. Did he change? You know, guys change from position players to hitters. I mean, position players to pitchers. Did he change from lefty to righty?
It's a good question. It's something I sent you this yesterday, and we don't have to do it today, but we should get into it. There's an article written in The Athletic, the death of the switch hitter. So,
how do you feel about that?
I don't know. I mean, one of the quotes I think was from Scott Service in the article saying that, you know, it's like the best job to have in all of sports to be a switch hitter because what you can do. So I believe it was Scott Service said it in the article. Someone said it in the article.
Can I give you from a player standpoint?
Sure.
Highly, highly overrated. How many great switch hitters have there been?
There's 20 of them in the Hall of Fame. I looked it up earlier.
When's the last modern day one?
Chipper Jones. Well, I mean,
him and Eddie Murray.
Ted Simmons just went in. He was at his.
Well, veterans. Okay,
yeah.
Veteran. Yeah. I mean, this game's been played for over 150 years, Cody. We've used over 20,000 players. How many guys have been actually good switch hitters?
We got what? How many in the game right now?
You'd have another one in Pete Rose. If you heard of him.
Beltran.
4,256.
Beltran should go in.
It's a lot of work. And, you know, we did some extensive conversations about this with Jed Lowry, another A that we absolutely love.
Another very good switch hitter.
Love Jed Lowry. It's really hard. It's hard to maintain two swings. Takes a lot of work, right? It's hard enough to be good at one side. Now you got to be two sides. Now, obviously, you believe the advantage is you never see balls going away from you. You always see balls coming into you, right? So you're right-handed. The lefty's always coming into you. You're batting left-handed. Righty's coming into you. You're never seeing righty on righty. Everything's going this way, right? Guess I wouldn't be explaining. So if I'm hitting right-handed, everything's going that way. But lefties are always coming to me. So they've always believed that was an advantage. Fathers would always teach their kids how to switch hit. And there's a learning curve. And I played with a couple guys that did it. It's just really, really hard. And so you wonder, like, and I'll give you a great example. Somebody that I've dealt with in my career, super guy, is JT Snow. One of the best defensive first basemen of all time. JT Snow could pick it as good as anybody. But JT gave it up. Finally, he gave it up because his right-handed numbers weren't great. So it's just very rare that, you know, how many great switch hitters really have there been? Bip Roberts is somebody we could talk to about it, who hit for, was he career 294 hitter?
Mm-hmm.
Just really, Tim Raines was a switch hitter.
There's a couple decent ones in the game still right now. Hosey, he's pretty good.
Yeah.
He might be the last switch hitter to go in the Hall of Fame.
It's just, it just goes.
Lindor, decent hitter. But you're right, yeah.
It's hard. It's really, really hard.
Can I ask you a trivia question?
Sure.
Who was the last American League switch hitter to win the MVP?
Vida Blue.
There you go. Who's the last National League switch hitter to win the MVP? More recent.
It's got to be somebody after Chipper Jones.
Yep. Same division. A couple years later.
Oh.
That'd be the great Jimmy Rollins from
Oakland.
Oh,
That's right. I got the Jimmy. Remember we did the top thing on the field? Do you guys remember? Have we?
It's on YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube. We haven't played it on the show, but we did a whole thing with the card guys from Palo Alto.
Mojo Break, yeah.
Mojo Break, great. They got all the cards. So we did like this revealing, and he came out with all these cards, right? And at the very end, I went, wait a minute, you've got a Jimmy Rollins card that's only. This is signed by Jimmy Rollins. It's signed in pen, and there was only 50 of them made. He's like, they're popping out all these cards. These are great. These are great. And I'm looking at going, Jimmy Rollins signed, and there was only 50 made. I'll take that one. J-Roll right here, baby. Get in the Hall of Fame. Because you saw when we were doing the event, right? You saw as soon as we opened it up, my eyes lit up and went, he could be a Hall of Famer. And that signed, and there's only 50 of them made. That's it. This card could be worth something.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's probably
we got to get him in the Hall of Fame now.
Yes.
Jimmy Rollins, Hall of Fame, yes or no?
Hall of very good.
Wow. You're just checking out on Oakland. That's what it is.
That's not it at all.
Yeah, that's it. You're checking out. You're checking out early.
I mean, he had a very nice career, 47.6.
He's an MVP.
So is Del Murphy, and he's on the Hall of Fame.
What is that? What? You're like Shooty Babbitt. You can never talk about one guy. You always like move the needle. Shooty moves the needle. Shooty will always who you compare him to. I don't care.
Oh, if you're talking about MVPs, I'm just throwing a guy out there. He won 2, actually.
There's a lot of guys who won MVPs. My grandfather won the MVP.
Not in the Hall of Fame.
My grandfather has Hall of Fame numbers. He's not in the Hall of Fame.
I'll give you a number, 95. Needs to be a little higher. His OPS plus is 95.
It's an overrated stat, you nerd. As a shortstop, 17 years. What's his WAR?
47.6.
Oh, you're going to put Posey in.
Oh. Hembo said it earlier today on Buster's podcast. WAR doesn't do justice for catches because they were talking about Cal Raleigh and how Cal Raleigh is a 3.5.
What? Tell me why.
Because of pitch framing and calling a game and handling a staff, because they were making no argument about Yadi Molina in the Hall of Fame. Because it's not quantified.
Okay, I'm not going to debate. I'm not going to debate what you just said with my friend Paul Himbakides. Himbo, top guy at ESPN, friend of the program. I'm not going to debate that. What I will debate is, boy, you love to use WAR when you want to, and you love to not use it. Statistics lie, and liars use statistics. That's a famous line. I don't know who came up with it, but people have used it for a long time. Statistics lie, and liars use statistics. Who came up with that? Probably some guy on Wall Street.
First thing that comes up.
It's a historian?
It won't let me open the graphic. Something Daniels.
It's a guy with a wig, so it's a long time ago. Mark Twain?
I don't know.
Am I quoting Mark Twain? So you want to use it when it helps your argument, and then you use it against guys to help your argument. So it's like, that's why I've always been in the land of analytics. Just tell me what is and what's not. Just tell me, because you can't, too many people are flip-flopping on what's important, what's not. Remember when Babbitt, batting average ball in play, was super big? Now it's not. Is it?
Yeah, I really don't hear that stat thrown out.
You don't hear it anymore. That was like, people used to throw that at me with Jack Cust constantly, right? It's like, just tell me, you know what I want? I want to know how much is in my bank account. How's my portfolio doing? I got kids going to college. Is my portfolio going up? Is it going down? Well, it went down a little bit recently, but I want to know. That's what I want to. Everybody's got so many different. That's why. What's our guy's name from Castrovins? Anthony Castrovins is great. It's like, in the end, the one that has held up. It's pretty simple. OPS. OPS is held up of all the different stuff that we have thrown out in baseball. The one thing that we can look at that has held weight is OPS. Not OPS plus. You can look at OPS plus, but OPS is pretty. It means you're getting on base, you're hitting, and you're hitting for power. Does anybody not want a player that gets on base and hits for some power?
I mean, a good way to look at it, because you've talked about Aaron Judge. We talked about Aaron Judge a lot on this program. His slugging percentage is .699 right now. What do you think the league OPS is right now, entering today? League OPS.
Wait, what, his slug is 699.
What do you think the league OPS is?
You know what? I hate the Yankees, but I love Aaron Judge. He's a freak.
His slug is only 15 points lower than the league OPS, which is .714.
He is a freak. Aaron Judge is and they were booing him at the start of the year. He is a freak. There's never been anyone like him.
It's incredible, and to add context to it, he's playing center field.
At 6'7", 280
pounds or whatever he is.
What do they list him at?
By the way, Jack Huss's BABIP is actually pretty high.
Oh, they threw BABIP at me all the time. I'm like, I don't care. He sucks.
282 according to Baseball Reference.
282.
Yeah.
He's like a early 90s, late 80s offensive lineman. For you Niner fans, you go back, Bubba Paris and those guys, Guy McIntyre. You go back to the Bill Walsh Niner offensive line guys under Coach McKittrick, who was one of the greatest offensive line coaches of all time. R.I.P. He was a old school military guy. I got to interview him early in my career. But that's what Aaron Judge is. He's like a late 80s, early 90s offensive lineman.
I was going to time into like an early 90s wrestler. Sid Vicious, The Undertaker, like 6'8", 6'9", big guys.
But they didn't weigh that much, did they?
Sid was like 320.
So Sid was 320.
Yeah, and Undertaker, they listed The Undertaker at 300, but I think he was probably a little he fluctuated.
You're 6'7", 280 playing center field in Major League Baseball is insane.
Yes. Meanwhile, your right fielder is way smaller than you, and you're a way better athlete.
We drafted him out of high school.
At Linden High School, right? Is that what the name of the
And
high
then
school?
at Fresno, what round did he go? Like 13th or something like that?
Aaron Judge was.
Think about that. Aaron Judge is going to be an all-time great, and he went in the 13th round.
Aaron Judge was
believe.
Taking in he was a first rounder.
He was we took him in the 13th.
We took him in the 31st round out of high school.
God, I'm in the middle. I'm in the middle.
Well, it was the anniversary yesterday where him and Tyler Austin went back-to-back, and it was each of their first home runs.
Okay, I'm going to say Aaron Judge, first round, did not go in the top 20.
He was number 32.
31 teams passed on him.
Well, 30. Oh, 31, yeah, because we're at the loops around, yeah.
Yeah, loops around.
Who else was?
So if you're picked 32nd, that means there was 31.
Let's see who else is taken in that draft real quick.
Who did we take over Aaron Judge the second time around?
Well, let's see. Mark Capel at number 1 in the Astros.
How'd that work out?
Chris Bryant, he's still on the injured list.
By the way, has Kris Bryant, speaking of
Billy McKinney is who we took.
Speaking of, let's sign everybody to long-term deals, and why don't we sign people to long-term deals? I know I've been fighting this, and people think I'm just being a homer. No. If I worked for any of the 29 other teams, I'd be saying the same thing. It is my true core belief. You are an idiot to sign these deals. Kris Bryant hasn't even played in 162 games yet for the Rockies.
He's on the aisle for the third time this season. Kris Bryant and his illustrious Colorado Rocky career has played in 159 games.
So you signed a guy to a long-term 100. What was the contract? Go below.
It was like 7 for something.
180, 170. Scott Boras was there.
He signed. He's making $27 million first 2 years. He made 18, then 28. So yeah, I'll get the exact number.
So I'll never forget the press conference. Coors Field. Scott Boras is there. He was traded to the Giants. Now he's with the Rockies. This is going to be so huge for the Rockies organization. What this will build on for Colorado and its future. Blah blah blah. 100.
7 for 182.
How many years?
7.
How many years he been in Colorado?
This is his third year.
This is his third year in Colorado of a $182 million deal, and he hasn't even played 162 games yet.
At 159 to be exact. Not great.
Once again, I am anti long-term contracts. I think they are awful. They are awful. If you get the unicorn who gives you the great deal, okay. But for the most part, I've got too much history to show you. And I don't know what our future's like, but I'm hoping we get past this once this move happens. I am over people like, we don't sign anybody. Good, because none of them are worth it. Did you look on Sunday? Chris Bassett getting roped around, ERA over 4, making $22 million. Then I looked up, oh my God, we didn't sign Frankie Montas. Frankie Montas's ERA is over 5. I mean, seriously.
So if you look at that draft class, Aaron Judge has a 49.5 career WAR. That's right now.
So basically, he's a Hall of Famer.
The next, he's on track, which he'll get in.
Well, I mean, once
if he stays healthy, knock on wood.
Put it this way: Aaron Judge plays a couple more years, which he will. He'll be over 60. He's going to be a Hall of Famer.
If he averages 8 WAR a year, yeah, he would get that in next 2 seasons. Kris Bryant's next closest at 27.5 WAR, so he's almost half of what Aaron Judge is.
Sean Manaea was drafted ahead of Aaron Judge.
No, right after.
Oh, it was right after?
Yeah, 34th overall.
Oh, okay. Go to guys in front of him.
Okay. We took Billy McKinney that year.
Oh, my God. Hunter Renfroe. Reese McGuire. J.P. Crawford. Tim Anderson. Where's Tim Anderson? Is he on a beach? Is he in Cancun? What's he doing?
Great question.
Marco Gonzalez. Marco Gonzalez was at USC. Where did he go to school?
Oh, Gonzaga.
He's a Zag. The Mariner was a Zag.
He's not a Pirate. There's our guy, Ryan Stanek.
Was taken ahead or after Judge?
Before Judge.
Ryan Stanek, the opener. So, I don't know what. You just got me on the Judge thing. Back to the switch hitters. Jimmy Rollins. 200 MVP, 4-time Gold Glover, 3-time All-Star, MVP, 231 home runs, 936 RBIs, 1,424 runs, 743 OPS, career WAR 47.6. Man, he is just on the doorstep.
Hall of Very Good.
He's a Hall of Very Good. But
him or Lindor.
I have his signed card. We need to get him in because then it vaults.
Yeah.
I mean, this card's worth something now. It vaults if he gets into the Hall of Fame.
Lindor or Jimmy Rollins?
Oh, I'll take J-Roll any day of the week. Actually, Lindor in Cleveland. Do I get Cleveland Lindor?
Sure.
If I get Cleveland Lindor, like early Lindor before he got paid.
I'm looking at Lindor because he's a switch hitter as well. I'm just looking at switch hitting shortstops. Like, WAR is pretty comparable career-wise so far. Home runs. He has more home runs.
Yeah, I bet they're kind of similar players.
How many steals did Rollins have?
J-Roll had 470.
Yeah. Lindor doesn't sniff that. He's a 180.
So I'm saying, I mean, when you kind of look at Jimmy Rollins in 17 years, he at least is in the conversation.
Yeah. No,
as a shortstop.
Like I said, I was looking at a guy that's a switch hitter that plays like currently. And we're also playing a series against him, so ties in. Hall of Very Good for Rollins. We'll see about Lindor. I think he'll be a 60 WAR player before he's done.
Lindor?
Yeah, well, he's only 30. It's only 30.
You think Lindor's a Hall of Fame player?
If he averages 5 WAR for the next couple seasons, he'll get over 60. He'll probably be in the Hall of Very Good discussion.
Well, what I'm afraid of is what I joke about all the time is we're putting in a ton of plaques I just want to walk by. Not even going to read it. Not even going to read it. Like, might glance at it. Like if Lindor's plaque is in the Hall of Fame, I'm not standing there reading it.
Wow. I mean, I get it. So he'd be right up there with Scott Rowland.
See Scott Rowland.
So you got me with Jimmy
Rollins. He's Scott Rowland 2.0 for me.
I don't think he was a defensive player, but yeah, I get where you're going with it. Yeah.
Who would you rather have as a player?
Probably Lindor.
Over J-Roll?
Oh, they're talking about him or Scott Rowland.
Oh. I mean, they're all in the same boat. I mean, really. I mean, it's like, I'm going over to Willie Mays. I want to see Ted Williams. I want to see Babe Ruth, Walter Johnson. And then I'm walking right past Scott Rowland and Francisco Lindor's plaque.
Am I getting
Where's Tony Gwynn? Where's Ricky Henderson?
Am I getting Jimmy Rollins as a Philly or Jimmy Rollins as
I
a
want
White
to see
Sox?
Nolan Ryan.
Or am I getting Rollins?
Shea Langeliers named after Nolan Ryan.
So am I getting Rollins as a White Sox, a Dodger, or a Philly? Which years of him am I getting? If you're taking Lindor's Cleveland days, which years of Rollins am I getting?
I think we're going to go Philly. Well, that's interesting. They're up the middle is kind of like on the doorstep because Chase Utley is also on the doorstep. I mean, that Philly team was a fan. Speaking of Philly, and maybe this will be a question we got to throw out to Ron Darling, who's coming up here in just a couple minutes. I sent this to Cody last night. I bet a lot of people don't know this. Worst records in baseball since the All-Star break.
Oh, I bet you I can guess number one.
I don't think you'll guess number one.
Do they play in the Midwest?
Yes, upper Midwest.
Do they play on not the North, West, or East, but the South side of their city?
They play on some side, and that would be the South side.
And they have Pale Hose is their nickname?
2-21. Who have they beaten?
Yankees and the A's.
So the White Sox are 2-21 since the All-Star break. We all understand that.
With two different managers.
It's a hey, Grady Sizemore keeps winning. What if he turned around? They won a ton of games. I mean,
if he gets past 43, I think he's fine. He might have to consider keeping him.
Also on this list are the Pirates at 8-15, who we said happy trails to. Yesterday, I said happy trails to Bruce Bochy and the Rangers. Happy trails. See you later. Pirates are 8-15 since the All-Star break. Rangers are 9-15. But the second worst team since the All-Star break is the Philadelphia Phillies at 7-16. Now, they have a commanding 6-game lead. It's been dropped to 6 games. You start wondering, they were saying earlier today on ESPN that they might be bored. I don't know. We'll play the top highlights from yesterday. We're going to start playing you every day now, the top highlights from each games as Berger went deep again.
He's on fire right now. Jake Berger is on fire. He's only Vlad has a higher slugging percentage than him recently.
Yeah. But the Phillies, man, 7-16 since the All-Star break. All right, now joining us here on A's Cast Live, a former a World Series champion. What a career he had, and now just outstanding in the booth. Also, when we see him over at MLB Network, Ron Darling with us here on A's Cast Live. Ron, thanks so much for taking the time before the game.
Well, my pleasure. Thanks for having me, guys.
Kind of bringing you back home, back in the day when you were an A.
That's right. The green and gold. I remember the first time I had to put on those yellow sanitaries and the white cleats. I'll never forget it.
Yeah, far different from what you were wearing with the Mets back in the day.
That's right. It was honestly going to Oakland saved my career, to tell you the truth. You know, leaving New York and the 500 people in the clubhouse every single day, and going to Oakland, and after a win, you'd have 1 or 2 camera people and 1 or 2 newspaper reporters, and going and having barbecues and Alameda with the team. It was a joy to play there for 5 years.
You know, you think about your career and then post-career, I don't know how much you ever thought about it, but it is truly amazing what has turned out with your broadcasting career. Not only working for the Mets, I looked it up. You've been with MLB Network since 2013, and for us baseball junkies in the off season, they got you in there almost every day on MLB Now. Was this a plan? When did you think? And I want to get into broadcasting.
Well, it's a great question. In fact, I think I was asked when I was a player for the Mets if I ever thought of broadcasting. I emphatically said no. And I think what happens for most players is that you're kind of betrayed by the calendar, right? Only a few players end up going out and on top of their game. I'm thinking about Sandy Koufax. Most recently, Mike Mussina had 20 wins in his last year, but almost all of us stink at the end. So we go through this mourning period, or at least I did, for 4 or 5 years, where I really didn't want to watch a game. I didn't want to be around the game. And then after about 5 years, I was asked to do this show in Los Angeles, and I just thought it'd be a fun thing to do. And then I realized how much I love and miss the game. And the more and more I did it, the more I enjoyed it. And here, 20 plus years later, I am still loving what I'm doing. I love coming to the park. You never know what's going to happen from game in to game out. And I don't know. I get this all the time, which I don't know if it's a compliment, but I get this all the time in New York. They say, boy, you're a better broadcaster than you were a player. And I'm always like, whatever. But I'll take any compliment.
Come on, you won well over 100 games. You went over 100 games in Major League Baseball, and you win a World Series. Definitely legit. And you and Keith, I mean, always rated one of the top broadcasts. I mean, that's got to be a lot of fun. I mean, you guys are both of your careers. I still think he should be in the Hall of Fame. I think it's a shame he's not. You think of what he did, not only in New York, but what he did in St. Louis. But just night after night, you two, your careers, and you guys have fun. Like whenever we tune in, you're entertaining. People forget we're in the entertainment business.
Well, you guys don't forget. Your show, you're always entertaining. And we try not to forget that here as well. I think what happens, especially now, because of the fans that are on social media, they get crushed and they're so serious from game to game. And baseball is really not a game-to-game kind of process. You kind of take it in 10 or 12 game intervals and see how you're doing over the course of time. But we really try to have fun. If the game is really close, I think we're on top of it. If the game is a blowout, I think we have a lot of fun. And we hope the people enjoy that. And I think most of our fans do so far.
And we love Brian Kinney. He comes on this show. All the guys from MLB Network do. We appreciate it. I love when you go on MLB Now. You're one of the guys that can kind of set or keep them at bay, Brian Kinney. I also like when you play the judge. That's good. I mean, that has to be a lot of fun in the offseason when you hit the studio and now you're analyzing because you're so good at it. It's just not Mets baseball. Now you're doing the entire game.
Well, it's honestly so fun, so rewarding, and so educational for me. I think if I got very myopic and the Mets were all I did, I don't know if I could do it this long. I think it's important to know who the number one prospect is for the Oakland Athletics, to know different depth charts of different teams. I think it helps my broadcasting, especially when I do the national games and in the postseason games. Yeah. So it's I don't know. I'm just lucky to be able to do it. And you're right. I try to keep BK at bay. I love him. He's one of my favorite people on TV. And my role on that MLB Now is usually this, because it's a information and analyst show. Is usually my role is to say, well, that's interesting, but as a player, you would think this. So I think that's my role on that show.
Well, if you're my age, you remember how great you guys were in New York. And I think it's been fantastic to, honor Darryl Strawberry and also Dwight Gooden. And it makes people think, because I've talked to Billy Beane, of course, Billy, and he came up through the Mets system. I've talked to him a lot about, he grew up with a lot of those guys in the minor leagues. Won one World Series, could have been more, but what a spectacular team. I think it's got to be a fun year this year, honoring two of your teammates. Boy, man, that 86 team, the talent you guys had was unreal.
Yeah, it was. When I'm asked about that team and what made it special, if you think about it, and folks know this, Kevin Mitchell was our versatile player, kind of our backup shortstop. He played a little outfield. He would go on to win an MVP with the Giants. So he couldn't even get in the lineup with that team. That's how talented it was. And Dwight and Darryl, when they first came up, you really felt like, one, they were going to have a Hall of Fame career. But more importantly, they're going to be two of the most important players in the history of the game. Now, didn't work out that way for many reasons. But they're still two of the most important people to this franchise and two of the most important people to me. And, of course, to Billy as well. Billy Beane is one of my favorite people that I've ever been around. He and I knew each other as young players when we were trying to figure it out. And I had more fun with Billy than just about anyone I ever played with.
Now, was baseball the right route for you, or maybe should you have stayed at quarterback back at Yale and tried to sling it around the yard?
Well, I think there's a lot of sports that I played, and I was pretty good at all of them. But I remember my Yale baseball coach said, if you're going to make it in the major leagues, you're going to make it as a pitcher. And I was so devastated because I honestly wanted to be Cal Ripken. I wanted to be Cal Ripken before Cal Ripken, a 6'4" shortstop who could hit. The only problem is once I got to the major leagues and they started spinning the ball, I had no chance. So pitching was the right place for me. I probably, I didn't pitch till I got to college, so I wasn't as well schooled as a lot of guys are in pitching. But I was always a great competitor, and that always helped me.
Well, I can tell you, we track a lot of pitching here. And last year in Major League Baseball, we used 863 pitchers. This year, we're at what? What are we at? 7 what?
It's updated since yesterday, 775 now.
We've used 775 pitchers, and everybody keeps telling me it's harder to hit than ever before, but yet the league ERA is well over 4. It just doesn't jive. So I'm like, to me, I see so much the way we're training our hitters today, less contact. Everybody's trying to hit it out of the yard. I know pitching. I know the way guys, the velocity and the spin and everything, but we're using so many pitchers now. Just how do you view the game as a former pitcher and someone who's around it every single day? How do you view the interaction between the pitcher and the hitter now?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the art of pitching and hitting and the nuance of pitching and hitting are not as evolved as they used to be. And what do I mean by that? If you're a pitcher, a young pitcher, what are you doing? You're chasing velocity. When I played, you chased outs. Outs were more important than velocity. How you got outs. You had a little imaginary basket behind the mound. And if you could fill that with 27 outs, that was a job well done. Now, if you can throw 100 plus, then that's good enough. So I think the art and the nuance of pitching is not where it once was. If you watch a lot of pitchers, a lot of balls are down the middle, but their stuff is so good. The problem with that is that at the way they do it and the level they do it, it's only a 15, 16, 17 out exercise, as it was different before and longer before. Now, the art of hitting has changed as well. They used to chase contact for hitters. That was very important, to put the ball in play, group a couple of hits together, put some pressure on the pitcher, steal some bases, all of those things. And now hitters have one thing they want to do. Well, two things they really want to do. They want to barrel the baseball, and they want to hit it in the air. They don't want to hit it on the ground. They don't even care about line drives. They want the ball in the air, and they want it hit 95 miles an hour or more. So you have this caveman kind of baseball that we've devolved to, or evolved, depends on how you feel about the game, where you have the guy in the box that is trying to hit it as hard as he can, and the guy in the mound trying to throw it as hard as he can. And so we have less contact, but we do have some moments when you see the ball off bats going 450 feet or more, like Towny and others.
Let's end on this, and we really appreciate the time. I got to ask you one Mets question. Just general overview, looking from the outside, Uncle Steve's got a big paycheck, and we know he's a huge fan. And it's just interesting to watch, like Scherzer and Verlander getting paid to play somewhere else, and guys leaving and thinking the Mets weren't going to be any good. And all of a sudden, here the Mets are. They're just right out of the wild card. They're chasing their nemesis, the Atlanta Braves. It's a really interesting time in the Mets world, as there's money. Are you trying to retool? We're trying to win. How do you view everything going on with the Mets?
Yeah, I think that it's changed a little bit. I think when Steve Cohen first bought this team, I think the emphasis was let's get or purchase the best players, put them together, and they'll figure it out and win 100 games. And when that didn't work the first couple of years, I think the hiring of David Stearns, who's a more conservative type of baseball operations person, who likes to work from the bottom up, meaning the minor leagues to the major leagues, I think you're going to see more of a conservative approach to free agents. You're going to see a more ambitious approach to their minor league system that can feed and provide this team to be kind of like the Dodgers are. Steve Cohen has been on the record many times, that they would like to mirror what the Dodgers do each and every year. And that's what the Dodgers do. They purchase great players, but they also have great players from their minor leagues. We'll see if it happens.
Well, good luck the rest of the year with the broadcast with the Mets. And, of course, you'll be doing the postseason work, and then we'll be watching you in the offseason on MLB Now. So much respect for your career. It's an outstanding baseball life. And thank you for the time, and let's do this again.
Thanks, guys. Anytime you need me, give me a ring.
The great Ron Darling. Thank you, Ron.
Thanks.
How about that?
I'm glad we finally got him.
Thank you, Vince.
Thank you, Vince Cotroneo, for helping me out with that.
Vince Cotroneo made that happen. Yeah, I mean, Ron has turned out, I mean, you think about it. You're on arguably the best broadcast team in baseball. You then go to, what's he going to be on? TBS?
Usually TBS, yeah.
Right? He'll go to TBS, do the postseason, and then during the offseason, they rely heavily on him for MLB Network and MLB Now.
To carry BK in the show.
It's a great show. So I got to tell you, it's great having him. It is. He is a terrific career now, just an outstanding broadcast career. And he's got, I mean, obviously he went to Yale. He's a smart dude. So it's when you listen to him talk baseball, he's somebody that gets it. He understands it. He can talk about the new. He can talk about the old. He can talk about the game, what's best for the game going forward. I'm really happy we got him today. Thank you, Vince Cotroneo. Well, Vince is doing your job.
Well, I mean, it's
yesterday.
We're a collaborative
We had
effort.
Lou on yesterday.
He told me to reach out to Lou. He just suggested him. I figured out all the details. Vince is the one that took care of Ron. I said, hey, love to have Ron. Here's the times. He goes, I can ask him in person for you because.
I forgot to ask about the Phillies. Phillies have dropped 17 of their last 24. Over the last calendar month, they're 7-17, the second worst record only to the Chicago White Sox.
There's a couple top teams struggling right now.
Pitching has failed with the bullpen posting a league worst 6.98 ERA. Remember, everybody's talking about how great their bullpen is? The bats have slumped, ranked 26 in MLB and 98 runs, 25th on base percentage. They are not playing well. Boredom or peak too early? Ooh, the daily dilemma.
I would say that's a perfect tease for the break.
Well, if we're talking for Phillies cast here on is it boredom or did they peak too early? It's an interesting question. But then again, what is the truth? But it's not sexy. It's not sexy to say until it's time. 6 months saying you just got to get in is not sexy. And it's not commentary or opinion people want to hear. But the reality is that is the true answer. The true answer is in football, baseball, and hockey, you just got to get in. NBA, until we see a low seed, I mean, the lowest seed to win an NBA title is what, 5 or 6? Maybe. It's been a long time.
Yeah, that sounds. I don't think an 8 seed's ever.
No, an 8 seed's never even. No. Hockey was the first time we saw the 8 seed.
I think that the Miami Heat a few years ago made it as like the 7 or 8 seed after being winning in the play-in tournament, but they didn't win the NBA Finals. So yeah, the hockey was it in LA? The Kings did it. One of the first times they won.
Kings did it, then the Ducks did it. Not a hockey guy.
It was the Kings, I'm pretty sure.
The King, the Sharks had them down 3-0, and the Kings came back and
then won the Stanley Cup. Yeah,
with the old Sharks coach, Brian. Right, Brian Sutter.
Yes. No. What's his last name? Daryl Sutter.
Daryl Sutter. Well, there's like
there's so many Sutters in hockey.
There's like 8 of them. All right, just get in. That's the reality. And it sucks for really good teams, right? We had a great year. We won 107 games and get bounced. But that's
shots at the Giants, huh?
That's just
very specific number you picked there.
Well, I mean, you could be the D-backs, 184 games. Next, you know, you're in the World Series. You just got to get in. But that's not sexy to say for 6 months when you're doing shows before games and after games.
No, I got some good numbers on the D-backs. Well, I got them because I heard Hembo say them, so I recycled them from Hembo on the Snakes. interesting since July 1st, how good they've been.
Yeah, you have to be very weary if you bust that out like it's your own and someone listened to Buster Olney's podcast earlier, then they know you could just be stealing somebody's work. And
I already gave him credit, said I got it from Hembo.
And we're friends with Hembo. It could come back on you. Yeah. Honesty's the best policy. Yeah. What do we got going next?
Our next guest is until 2:30 with Bill Moriarty.
I see. You need me to break, though.
We got sponsors.
Yes. Sponsors. The Daily Dilemma. Stealing that from my friend John Lund right here on A's Cast.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the pennant race action and the upcoming NFL and college football seasons. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intendant and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit xfinity.com/network management.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
It's summertime, and I can guarantee you probably need to redo your wardrobe. You want to look good, and you want to feel comfortable. This is Chris Townsend, and you got to go check out my friends at Link Soul. They've got all the finest fabrics. You're going to love the shirts, the polos, the shorts, you name it. Redo your look for summertime. Go to linksoul.com right now, and you can get an offer for 20% off. Remember, in the big leagues, to play good, you got to look good.
With more sunshine returning, it's time to get outside and make the most of what Cinnabar Hills Golf Club has to offer. Like 27 championship caliber holes tucked in the beautiful hills of San Jose. And take advantage of their amazing Bay Area views for your next special event. It's all for you at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club, an award-winning venue designed to peacefully take you away from the bustle of Silicon Valley. Go to CinnabarHills.com. That's CinnabarHills.com.
Being a Chevron car these days has been quite the adventure. Miami to Seattle, ocean to ocean. I've stopped at so many states and collected so many bumper stickers. Sometimes I feel like a moving passport book. It's just so great what I can do with Chevron with Techron, because it gives me unbeatable mileage and keeps my engine clean. Plus, there are so many Chevrons along the way. Now the only thing I'm worried about is where to go next and where to put all my new bumper stickers. Chevron with Techron, fueled by possibility.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's Nest nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland and you get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding, love where you sleep.
And the underdogs, Oakland Athletics, win their first championship since they were in Philadelphia in 1930.
Hi, I'm Raleigh Fingers, Hall of Famer, three-time World Series champion with the Oakland A's and World Series MVP. Winning takes teamwork, skill, and heart. So when you need an ace for a personal injury lawyer that will win you the game, go with the winning team. Call Venardi Zerata at 833-VZ-FOR-ME or go to vzlawfirm.com. Venardi Serrata, the official injury law firm of the Oakland A's.
Like sports, business is about winning. Championship decisions are business decisions based on what it takes to help your company win. And that's why there's UBO Business Services, specializing in helping you win every day by streamlining workflows, managing documents, and providing the best-in-class office technology. Make your championship decision with UBO Business Services. Visit them at ubeo.com. That's ubeo.com.
Streaming from the studio, A's Cast Live continues with Chris Townsend.
All righty. Something we want to go over. Start doing it most days when the action's hot. Because the games right now, every game you're like watching, you're like, my God. Look at what certain teams are doing. The fight is on for the postseason, and it is fun to watch. You miss it, right? I miss being in that action when the A's are in it and you're following everybody you're either ahead of or you're chasing. That's the best part of the sport. Now, a lot going on. Let's first start with the big news from yesterday. Let's go. What you put a little thing together for Shea Langeliers?
I just put his his home run and his double, RBI double. No music, just a little mashup of Johnny and Vince's calls of Langeliers' big day at Citi Field yesterday.
Shea Langeliers has hit safely in 8 straight at-bats, matching the A's record since they moved to Oakland in 1968. Seth Brown accomplished it last month. Langeliers could join Doc Kramer. 1932 is the only A's player with 3 straight 4-hit games.
It's impressive what he's been able to do.
Get that average up, baby.
I know. It's up to like 220. I heard you and Greg from Slow talking yesterday on A's Clubhouse.
Yeah.
And Greg was like, 205 hitter. And you're like, how many guys have hit 205 and drove in 80 runs? And I was like, you know what? I have nothing to do. I'll look it up. I think the answer was 6 guys have ever done it. 205 or lower.
I think Greg sometimes says some things that
Greg, I got to fact check you. I'm sorry, buddy.
Yeah. It's not. You're never going to justify stepping up to the plate and hopefully maybe getting a hit 2 times every 10 at-bats.
No. I heard you guys throw Joey Gallo. Gallo actually would have been on that list, but he hit 207 and 209 the 2 times he did it.
It's not, you're better than that. You are not good at hitting, because that's what gets me back to, I want some context with my stats, right? Like, we have tracked certain players. Certain players have a knack for hitting home runs when nothing is on the line. Then you look at their other stats, what they do with runners in scoring position, and it's miserable. But when it's 9-1, rack, solo home run. And then at the end of the year, you go, hey, that guy hit 28 jacks. And you're like, well, when did he hit them? When they really first started tracking this was Alex Rodriguez with the Yankees. Because there were people who really started to see, like, yeah, these are numbers, but how hollow are these numbers? Like, all of a sudden, he never hits a home run 7th inning or later, never drives in runs 7th inning or less. So it's like, and obviously A-Rod won MVPs and great player, should be in the Hall of Fame, but we know why he's not going to be. But you just start to look at certain numbers and certain players. And I'll tell you, Chris Davis hitting 247 every year and 40 home runs. We could look when he hit those home runs, and it mattered. A lot of them mattered. Not every one of them, but a lot of them mattered. They put the team ahead. They tied. It was right around. I mean, he hit when the A's needed run production. Chris Davis was there. Where's the Chris Davis bobblehead? Oh, he's over here. He's underneath the hat, the Prostate A's hat. So I like that. But too many guys that are hitting, if you're hitting home runs and you're hitting 200, I would like to go, well, let's go game by game and tell me when you hit those. Tell me when you hit those. If you're hitting 200 or 205, tell me when you're hitting those home runs. Because, there was a point this year where Shea Langeliers had a great series against Texas, and his numbers against Texas were great, and against everybody else, it wasn't so great.
Yeah, I remember we were tracking that. If you look at that, the other thing, too, of that list of guys I told you about, the guys hitting 205 or lower with the 80 RBIs, all of them but one led the league in strikeouts the year they did it. The only guy that didn't was Carlos Pena the year he did. The guys are Kyle Schwarber, Dave Kingman, Adam Dunn, Rougned Odor, Mark Reynolds, Carlos Pena. Funny, there's a few former A's that are on that list.
It is a lot of strikeouts. It is a lot of you're not even putting the ball in play to get sac flies. You're not even putting the ball in play for them to maybe make an error. You are essentially, when you strike out that much, you're an easy out.
Adam Dunn struck out 222 times the year he did when he hit 204.
You're an easy out.
Yeah.
You really are an easy out. But he hit 40 home runs. So 40 times, how many are solos? Right? You'll find with these guys that play like that, a lot are solo home runs.
One of the guys is Schwarber. When he hit 40, I think he only had like 99 RBI. So a lot of them were solo because he only had 99 runs.
He was leading off, but yeah. It's a unique, like Schwarber is a unique, but once again, that's an outlier. That's an outlier. If you had 9 Kyle Schwarbers, you've got no chance to win. If you just have 9 guys who can't hit but just hit home runs, you will have a poor record.
If you take those 5, that's 6 guys on the list. I wonder how that team would do. Kingman, Dunn, Odor.
We can go back and we can look at some teams that had some really good offenses in Texas back in the day. The old ballpark, Jetstream going out to right center. They had a lot of guys. What year? Mickey Tettleton, Juan Gone, Pudge Rodriguez. They had all kinds of guys.
I was looking at
that could hit bombs.
I was just thinking of the year.
Rafael Palmeiro.
The year Juan Gone had the big years. What years were that? Like 97? The years he won the MVP.
Would have been around 95, 96, 97, right around there.
Okay. I was looking at 97. We'll go to 96.
Go to 90. Go to the 96 Texas Rangers.
They were 90 and 72.
Got bounced. Let me guess.
And won.
Let me guess. They lost in the playoffs to the Yankees.
Correct. Johnny Oates was the manager.
Yeah, they 2 straight years they won the West and got bounced by the Yankees.
Juan Gone didn't lead the league in any of these stats, but he hit 47 home runs and drove in 144 runs.
Was the MVP?
Was it the year he won the MVP?
Gotta be.
He won the MVP in 98 and 96, yeah.
All right, so go to the
98. He drove it 157 runs.
Well, you keep telling me RBIs are teams. So.
I've never said that.
All right.
Look at this team, though. I mean, Pudge, Will Clark, Kevin Elster, Dean Palmer, who had 38 and 107. Rusty Greer had 18.
I always liked the lefty Rusty Greer. He was a good player.
18 homers, drove in 100. I mean, Juan Gone 47 and 144.
How about my guy at DH?
Mickey Tettleton. 24 and 83.
He used to have his bat back here, all that pine tar, no batting gloves, and he hit bombs.
And they lost in the first round.
Yeah.
And then the 98 team that Juan Gone had 100 and who was on that team? Juan Gone, 45 homers, 157 RBIs.
Look at your boy Will the Thrill.
23 and 102, hit 305. Rusty Greer again, another 16 and 108 season.
Lee Stevens at DH.
A couple guys on the bench that had some good
Lee
numbers.
Stevens had 20 home runs and 59 RBIs. Steroids. How many steroid guys that would have a bunch of home runs and no RBIs because all they hit is solo home runs? I had the best explanation for it. We're going to get to the highlights.
Oh, wow. Look at these ERAs. I mean, Rick Helling won 20 games with a 4.41 ERA.
Dude, pitching there?
I know. So I mean, but Aaron Seeley had 19 wins. His ERAs actually wasn't that bad. Then you got guys with sixes, and a 7 point. Bobby Wood's dad had a 7.6 ERA.
I mean, think about it. It's amazing to me how we have a fan base that now is talking about Sacramento's weather. I get it. You're pissed. A's are leaving. Let's bag on anything. You think Sacramento's weather is worse than what it was to play in Texas in the middle of the summer and through August? July and August in Texas, where it's over 100. I've been there. It's over 100 degrees, and the humidity is like 90-something%. It's so hot. It's so humid. It's gross. Like, I get where people are coming from. I understand. I'm not telling you not to be angry. I'm just saying, when you have these conversations about heat and the players playing in this heat, like, do you not know what our players played outside Texas baseball was like for all those years, how hot it was? I've been there. That's when you go, yeah, dry heat's different from the humidity. Those pitchers, you go out there and you get worn down. And there was the jet stream of the wind. Pitching in that old ballpark, remember they put up that I don't want to say it's not netting, but they put up something there at the stadium to change the wind pattern so it wasn't as bad. But my God, the wind and how hot it was, it was abusive to play there.
I don't think their fans cared that much. They still ranked 4th in the AL on attendance in 1998.
Let me guess. They probably got 3 million or close.
2.9.
Yeah.
2.9.
So fans still showed up in that 105 with 98% humidity. They still showed up.
Now you go to their ballpark. I've been to the new one. They tell you it's 105 degrees outside, but it's a nice cool. It was 73 in the ballpark.
So you're telling me in April and May on Monday and Tuesday they didn't have 10, 12,000?
I'd have to go through game by game, but I'm going to say no. If you have 2.9 million.
In a year where they won.
They were. What were they? They made the playoffs that year. They did not. Yes, they lost to the Yankees again. 88 and 74.
Yeah. See, the thing with Baseball Reference that changes everything is you can actually go and check game-by-game attendances for a season. So, 0-1. Would the A's win 102? 102. You can go check every game's attendance in a 100 game. You can check. You can start to tell what was a weekend. You'll see exactly. You can see attendances. If you follow it, you'll see exactly when there was giveaways. You'll see exactly when there was firework night. Saturday, 40,000 people. I mean, you can see exactly how. And then you'll see Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. You can just track the season. It's unbelievable. All right, let's get to the big highlights of yesterday. First, we do have to start with Shea Langeliers.
That swung on, fly ball to left field. Going back for it, Nimmo. Near the track, looks up, and it's gone! Shea Langeliers, a 3-run homer, and the A's lead 7-1. Wow. So Langeliers, his 22nd home run of the year, tying his career high. RBIs 58, 59, and 60. It's a 7-1 lead for the Athletics.
Guzzo readies and comes to the plate. A swing and a liner to left. Hit pretty well. Back on it is Nimmo. It's past him. It's going to one-hop the wall. Blade is home. Andujar stops at third base. Langeliers into second with an RBI double. It's a 3-for-3 night for the A's catcher with 4 RBIs, and it's 9-4 Oakland.
4 hits last night. Second time on the road trip he's had 4 hits in a game. He's rolling. Martine put this stat out last night from Elias. Shea Langeliers, not me, not the family, but Elias Sports Bureau. Shea Langeliers is the 7th A's player in the expansion era with a hit in 8 or more consecutive at-bats. You mentioned Seth Brown did it. Josh Reddick did it in 2016. Dave Magadan did it in August of 97.
Dave Magadan? Do you remember Dave Magadan?
I remember the name. Giambi did it in April of 96. Brent Gates did it in May of 94. And friend of the program, A's Hall of Famer Joe Rudy did it in September of 73.
Can you name the other catcher in A's history with consecutive 4-hit games? Who is the only other catcher in A's history?
Oakland A's or A's?
I said A's.
Mickey Cochran.
You really don't know this?
Well, you said A's. I was assuming you were
Yeah,
talking about Hall
A's.
of Famers. Terry Steinbach. Jason Kendall.
You do not know
Ray
this.
Fosse.
Frankie Hayes in 1936.
Oh, gosh. He was next on my list. When he said A's, I knew you were going somewhere in Philly.
Frankie Hayes in 1936. Shea Langeliers has a 286. Shea Langeliers has a 286 average since the All-Star break. Do you see? Do you see how much Shea Langeliers, how much better he looks when he's doing more than just hitting home runs? He's hitting 286 since the All-Star. It's in him. 10 of his 18 hits have gone for extra base hits. Let's see. 13 of his 22 home runs are with runners on base, which is great to see. Happy for him. Shea Langeliers.
He's what, second in the AL for catchers and home runs, only behind Cal Raleigh, I believe. And if you look at his arm strength, I was looking at these metrics yesterday on StatCast. He is the best arm strength metric, like when it comes to speed or whatever in baseball. So we know he can throw guys out stealing bases. So, but to see him swinging the bat, hitting 286, that's really good to see.
All right, let's get to some very interesting highlights yesterday. We got to start in the NL West because the NL West, the race is crazy. The team at the top is the Dodgers. Give me some Shohei.
1-0, and Ohtani rips this one to right field, way back upper deck. And the show rolls on in Milwaukee, his second home run in as many games. And the Dodgers lead it 2-0. Home run number 37 for Shohei Ohtani.
Credit Tim Neverett and the Dodgers Radio Network. Ohtani, 37 home runs, only trails Aaron Judge, and for Major League Baseball leading home runs. Could be a 40-40 guy. Could be the first DH to win the MVP, right?
I mean, the MVP races are over. Stop it.
Oh, wow.
Stop it.
Wow.
Dodgers over the Brew Crew 7-2. The MVP. Stop it. Don't text me, anybody. I still have my friends from saying they're still trying to stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Ohtani is the MVP in the National League and Judge is the MVP in the American League. It is over. There is, I mean,
I did boldly
what would
say,
you have to do to eclipse it? He's going to be a 40-40 guy.
I did boldly
He's
say.
carried the team without Mookie Betts. Freeman was out with his son's deal. I mean, you think about all the injuries.
And he moved in the leadoff spot.
Who's been the consistent guy? Ohtani's going to be the MVP, and Aaron Judge is having another all-time great season. It's over.
Ohtani might, if I got to look at the averages, but he has a chance to win the Triple Crown.
I mean, who are you going to sell?
He'd be the first guy since Ducky Medwick to win it.
Ketel Marte is having a great year.
He's hurt. He's banged up now, isn't he?
Ohtani, yeah, I didn't go on the IL, though. I didn't see that.
I just know he's got banged up a little bit.
Yeah, Ohtani's winning it. But the Snakes were down. 9th inning, 2 straight games now. They've been down by 3 runs. Oh, the comeback Snakes. Corbin Carroll would hit a triple. He would get to third. He's the tying run. Next you know, you got bases loaded. And then this.
Jake McCarthy coming up. Everyone on their feet. Air into left. Carroll scores, and McCarthy walks it off for the Diamondbacks. First career walk-off winner for Jake McCarthy. He can do no wrong to the very last breath. The Diamondbacks continue to fight. Final score, D-backs 4 and the Rockies 3. Outstanding.
Credit to Diamondbacks television. Yeah, 4-3 win over the Rockies. They're now, them and the Padres sit 3.5 back behind the Los Angeles Dodgers in the National League West. The numbers I have on the Diamondbacks that I got from Hembo. I'll run them by you.
Just let me say this for context of last night. D-backs overcame a 3-run deficit against the Rockies to give them 5 straight wins. Only the Giants and the Marlins have more walk-off wins than Arizona at 8 in 2024. Arizona, I like this stat. Arizona is 24-12 in one-run games. They have won their last 8 games decided by one-run margin, one shy of the club record in 2007. They're winning close games, which does what? Conditions you for the postseason, right? You're playing in this dramatic, always coming back at that plays. It battle hardens you. Go ahead. What do you got on the Snakes?
Oh, so Arizona since July 1st, 235 runs scored. No other team has even over 200 runs scored. 109 runs they've scored on 66 home runs. Their opponent's ERA over the last 6 weeks is 6.31 as a staff. Opposing starting pitchers have a 5.92 ERA. Opposing relievers have a 6.83 ERA. The opposing starter since July 1st has won only 3 times against the Diamondbacks. These numbers, courtesy of Hembo and Buster Olney's podcast, Baseball Tonight. That's incredible for what Arizona.
Well, I mean, the number one thing is they have the best record in baseball since June 1st. That's 2.5 months. 2.5 months, the Rockies have the best record. So Dodgers hold serve, Rockies hold serve, and then down at Petco Park, those dog Pirates have quit.
Yeah, talk about being
That's when you play the highlights.
I don't have any Padre highlights.
What?
I just did the McCarthy walk-off and Towny.
Oh, wow. Padres would shut out the Pirates 3-0. Now, when you start talking to, they're playing again today, right?
Yes, they're playing right now, actually.
They're playing right now?
Getaway game.
Padres boast a Major League Baseball best 18-3 record since July 20th. So essentially what we're telling you is Dodgers, Snakes, and Padres are all hot. The Red Sox, the Diamondbacks, they're the only team to average more runs per game in that span. So the Red Sox have been hot, except they ran into the Astros. But so D-backs, Padres, I mean, where you look today, they go into today, and they are – Padres hold the second wild card. Diamondbacks hold the first wild card. They lead that by 4. And the Dodgers lead them in the division by 3.5. So Snakes and Padres both 3.5 games back. And in San Diego whooping Pittsburgh right now.
Pirates are about to lose their 10th in a row as the Padres are up 8-0 in that game.
And Diamondbacks are winning 6-1 right now. San Diego winning 8-0.
The Diamondbacks also have the most runs scored in all of Major League Baseball. That's more than the Yankees. That's more than the Dodgers, the Phillies. So what Arizona's been doing this year has been pretty remarkable, knowing that they have had a down year from Corbin Carroll, and Christian Walker is banged up right now as well.
All right, coming up next, we're heading to the farm on A's Cast Live.
Hey, Oakland A's fans, step up to the plate with Xfinity Internet. Get the fastest speeds and low-lag streaming for an incredible viewing experience that knocks it out of the park. And you'll have a consistent connection with reduced buffering and freezing, so you can stay in all the action inning after inning. When it's game time, make sure to catch it all with internet that's powerful and reliable. Stream sports from the best seat in the house with Xfinity, because it's only live once. Actual speeds vary and not guaranteed. Many factors affect speed. For factors affecting speed, visit xfinity.com/network management.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
This is the place where you can dance like nobody's watching, win like nobody's business, and get away like you mean it. So what are you waiting for? Come join the party. Take that evening out and make it a night you'll never forget. This kind of action can't be beat.
This is Chris Townsend, and it is summertime. You want to look your best, and I can't tell you how excited I am. Commander Cody, we've got our new shipment from Link Soul, all the summer gear. So whether you're playing golf or you're going out for dinner, you're hanging out with your buddies, or you're going to the beach, go see our friends at linksoul.com. And right now they have an offer where you can get 20% off. Go to linksoul.com. Remember, in the big leagues, look good, play good.
Hi, fans. This season, Kingsford Capital Management is the official hedge fund sponsor of the Oakland A's. At Kingsford, down to business is their way of seeing the world. Investing has its pitfalls, treacherous chasms of half-truth and despair. Kingsford's mission is to create opportunity through application of proven innovation and entrepreneurial focus with trust, tenacity, loyalty, and growth, establishing a strong reputation as a proven intended and validated bedrock of American finance. Kingsford Capital, down to business.
With the sunshine returning, it's time for golf, and more golf at Cinnabar Hills Golf Club. Cinnabar Hills is also your destination for great food with their beautiful renovated restaurant and quality craft beer selection at their full bar. Featuring a grass driving range and 27 championship caliber holes, Cinnabar Hills Golf Club is the best public course in the Bay Area. For more information, go to cinnabarhills.com. That's cinnabarhills.com.
Ever wondered what a 30-foot tall pistachio looks like? A giant redwood or Big Sur? Chevron with Techron will be there to help you see them and tons of other places you have to see to believe. Because with unbeatable mileage and a clean engine, cars feel great. So next time you want to fill up on a little adventure, an awkward family photo, or a new commute to work, make sure to fill up at Chevron's along the way. Your car and your memories will thank you. Chevron with Techron, fueled by possibility.
If you're looking for a new mattress, Nest Bedding has you covered. Sleep on the same mattress Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson sleeps on. Nest Bedding is the #1 brand of online mattresses and the Bay Area's favorite mattress store. Take home the Easy Breather pillow. The New York Times calls it their #1 pick. You can navigate their easy-to-use website, nestbedding.com. That's nestbedding.com. Green and gold fans, use the coupon code Oakland, and you'll get 10% off your entire order. Nest Bedding. Love where you sleep.
If you're looking for a great place to eat and watch games, go see our friends at the Chicken Pie Shop of Walnut Creek. The Chicken Pie Shop is one of the hottest restaurants in Walnut Creek. You're not going to find a better menu, and come try their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next private party or corporate event. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go through chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
You're listening to A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
Oh, wow. I just got a thing from the A's with Brent Rooker on it. Not today.
No, Martin Gallegos put it out there on X, formerly known as Twitter, that Rooker is at home with his wife. They had the baby already. So congrats.
Boy or girl?
A girl. So second baby, second girl. Congrats to Brent Rooker and
He's
the
a
Rooker
girl
family and his
dad.
wife, Allie.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations to the Rooker family.
Are you ready?
I mean, what a year. We have Bill?
Yeah.
How about that, Bill? You're having a career year. You're having your second child. I mean, Brent Rooker, I mean, it doesn't get any better, right? 29 years old? That's
Yeah. And remember, this guy, a couple of years ago, it looked like his career was headed nowhere. Now he's on top of the world. I mean, that shows you how quickly things can change in baseball if you get an opportunity and perform well.
You're a great guy to ask this because I said it last night, and I really mean this. People don't understand how quick careers are. And from my time, whether Major League Baseball or the NFL, most guys' careers are really, really fast. Then you have guys who have some peaks in their career, but they're not very long. Like you may have 1, 2, 3 good years. The guys that have these super long careers and greatness, yeah, but that is such a small 0.00 something percent of all. I mean, we've had over 20,000 guys playing Major League Baseball majority of everybody plays one to maybe 3 years. Yeah. So a guy like Brent Rooker right now, instead of worrying about, that's all I hear is, what about the future? I mean, problem is I just played golf with Shooty Babbitt, the super scout. Scouts are always talking about the future and how do you see that? Can we enjoy the now? I don't know if Brent Rooker will ever do this again. I don't know how long he'll ever do this for. Most guys, you have a career year, you have some good years, but most guys don't do it for 10 years.
Yeah, I mean, when we think of baseball careers, we often think about successful baseball careers. We don't think about how many guys come up for, a couple of years and then that's it. I think a great majority of players who get to the major leagues don't stay in the major leagues past 30. There are a lot of guys that come up in their 20s, have a few good years, then they start to trail off and they're gone. They're done. That's really the more common, career than a guy who sticks around for, even half a dozen years. That's a nice long career right there. If you can make it a decade, forget it. You're in the cream of the crop. So yeah, when things are going well, you ought to enjoy it. But also I think it goes something we talk about, if a guy gets an opportunity and he hits well, he plays well, he's hot, I don't care where he was drafted, I don't care what's going on, let him run with it until he wears it out. Give these guys a chance, because most of these guys probably aren't going to be around for more than a few years anyway. Make the most of it while they're hot. And it's just great that Brent Rooker was finally able to get that opportunity with the A's. And he's obviously been one of those valuable players on this team the last couple of years. It's been a rough couple of years, but you have to imagine where the team would have been without him. It would have been a whole lot rougher. So it's great to see guys get an opportunity. Same with your Max Schumans. Maybe he's not an all-star, but he's certainly taken the opportunity and run with it. And he's a guy that very easily, if injuries hadn't happened, may have never even got a chance at the major league level. So it's great to see when guys take that opportunity and really make the most of it.
I know on the side, one of your big hobbies is to be an orthopedic surgeon and a physical therapist. So we're going to ask your doctor opinion here. What do you think happens with Jacob Wilson? Goes down to Vegas, healthy, play a few games. When do you think we could see him?
I mean, I would imagine that they're going to get him back as soon as they possibly can. I'm sure they'll run him out there, make sure everything's healthy, make sure everything's still attached. And, I'm sure they're eager to get him back as soon as they can. So as soon as everything looks solid, I'm sure he'll be back. And, hopefully he'll stay healthy to the end of the season so we can get a good look at the A's number one prospect. And, and then you've got Max Schumann. You can move him around. You can put him at third. You can maybe put him, in the outfield against left-handers or something. There's always room for these guys who perform well, but you certainly want to get a guy like Jacob Wilson in there as soon as you possibly can. And, speaking of shortstops, I don't know if you've seen how well our other former number one pick shortstop, Max Muncy's been doing lately, but he had 4 hits last night. Just last week, he had 3 home runs in a game. I think he's hitting about 290 at Vegas, and he's been performing really well since he's come off the IL too. So, there's more in the pipeline behind Jacob Wilson as well.
All right. Workload wise, because if there is anything, you look at Jacob Wilson, he hasn't been able to really stay healthy so far. He's a young man, shouldn't be a problem, but workload wise, what kind of, do you think, and I know you're always talking to people inside the A's, do you think he'll get a big workload, or could it be 2 games on, then it's Schumann for 2 games? And could we see a diminished workload and then he just doesn't jump right in and he's the starter?
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, I don't have any particular inside info on this, but I imagine they're going to give him a good run. But I can see, especially when you're first coming back from the injury, a lot of times they do this, in their rehab assignments too. And play for a couple days, give him a day off, until you're really sure that nothing's, bothering them at all. But, I think it just depends on, how he feels. But if he feels 100% and he looks 100%, I think they want to get a good look at him as possible. But early on, I imagine they're not going to just run him out there every single day for weeks on end when he's coming back from the injury. I'm sure they'll give him a little break. That's usually just wise. And, hopefully the injury bug doesn't continue to be a thing with him. But, no matter how great a player is, sometimes injuries just occur. And that's why, you you need to have depth. You need to have, he might be the shortstop of the future. It doesn't mean you're not ever going to need another guy to play shortstop for the A's in the next few years, so you can never have too much depth. And as you know, it applies even more to pitching. You can never have too many pitchers. You definitely need to start the season with a couple of rotations worth of healthy arms, because you'll be needing them sooner or later.
Yeah, I mean, you're dealing with human beings, and human beings get hurt. So it's just a reality. And you think about Schumann's not going anywhere. We've talked to David before. Schumann has shown that he can play at this level. He can play a lot of different positions. That's a very valuable guy when you only have 13 spots, 26. You got 13 pitchers, 13 position players. If you would have asked me in May, I would have said, hey, Toro, I mean, he's leading the league in hits. I mean, Toro is, May, he was hell on wheels, dropped off dramatically ever since he's gotten back from the injury. Third base is still, I don't know, Hernandez. You mentioned Muncy's red hot. Can Muncy really be a third baseman? Like, if, let's just play the game, Jacob Wilson is the shortstop. What do you think, or what would the battle be at third?
Well, as you said, it really is the biggest question mark. The A's lineup has become pretty surprisingly solidified, of late. And third base is still the biggest question mark. As you mentioned, Toro got off to a great start. But, he's not an all-star, or, he's not necessarily someone you'd look to be the starting third baseman on a playoff contending team, perhaps. You'd like maybe a slight upgrade. He's done a good job, but, you'd like something better. If you were to go to spring training right now with the roster you've got, look, you'd have guys in the mix like Abraham Toro, Darrell Hernandez, Brett Harris, maybe Armando Alvarez is still around, and of course, Max Muncy. If Wilson's at shortstop, third base is the most logical spot for Muncy. He's got a good enough arm to do it. He's a big enough guy, and he's getting stronger. He of all the third base options, he certainly has the highest upside of any of them. So. As long as he's healthy, as long as he continues to perform well, I'd love to see Max Muncy at third base next season, because again, he's just got the greatest potential of all the current options. So why not give him a chance, give him a go, see what he's capable of doing? Sometimes it takes a few months, like Lawrence Butler or whatever, to settle in, but we might as well get him going and get him started on that process as soon as possible. Like I said, he's hitting 290. He's getting extra base hits at Vegas. He's playing well. So I'd love to see Muncy get the shot, because again, of all those guys, I think we can kind of, imagine how many of those guys would play out. And I think Muncy has the best potential. So I'd love to see him get that shot there. Otherwise, I don't know where he ends up if you've got Jacob Wilson at shortstop. So I think he's the prime candidate to break out at that position. It just depends on when they decide to give him that opportunity. But there's certainly plenty of guys in the mix in the meantime at the hot corner.
Well, when I saw Muncy at spring training, I was like, wow, this kid's getting big. He's filling out. He's 21, and that's the other thing. He's 21 years old. So he's just really, really starting to fill into his adult body, and he just doesn't look like, because when we first met him, he just graduated from high school. So right. He's not super tall, but he's kind of got that thickness that I could see him playing third base.
Yeah, he definitely looked more like a shortstop coming out of high school, but he's looking more like maybe a third baseman at this point. And he's got power. Maybe not like Brent Rooker power, but he's got enough pop to be that kind of third baseman that you look for, that can hit with some authority. And I think he's going to turn 22 later this month, so he'll be 22 at the start of next season. Still quite young, so he's still got plenty of time and room to improve his game, but he's already playing pretty well. Like you said, 21 years old in the Pacific Coast League, and doing more than holding his own there. So, I think all the guys we've got in the mix, he's certainly got the greatest promise as a potential third baseman for the A's in the future.
Well, we like to update where franchises' minor league systems are ranked. And when we start looking at Baseball America, and you start looking at ESPN, looking at prospects, we have an organization talk about how it's going up in the rankings, and we have players getting into the top 100.
Yeah, the last time you and I talked, you asked me where I would rank the A's farm system, and I said it was pretty much middle of the pack in my opinion. And Baseball America just came out with their farm system rankings, and they've ranked the A's farm system 16th. So that's pretty much right in the middle of the pack. I think that's a really fair assessment. I don't know if you noticed as well, but MLB Pipeline came out with their mid-season prospect rankings for the A's, re-rankings. So it was kind of interesting to see. Of course, they've got Jacob Wilson at the top. Nick Kurtz is our most pick is now in the number 2 spot for MLB Pipeline. They've got right-hander Luis Morales, who's been pitching really well at Lansing lately, in the 3rd spot. Then they've got our second-round pick, Tommy White, 3rd baseman, in the 4th spot, and they've Henry Bolte, number 5. So moving up the list. Also, Colby Thomas is now at 7. He's just been, probably the best hitter in the A's minor league system this season. He's continuing to do what he did at Midland at Vegas. And Max Muncy's number 8 on MLB Pipeline's list. They've got our pitcher we took in this last draft, Gage Jump, at 9. And they've got my friend Denzel Clark, who's had a great second half after his shoulder surgery, at number 10. So there's a lot of guys that have been moving up on that list, and certainly good to see some of the most recent draft picks really high on MLB Pipeline's new A's prospects list too.
People ask me about pitching all the time, and my answer is, I don't know. We just need a lot of them.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, the good news is there are some more coming too. Gunnar Hoagland finally got promoted to Las Vegas, and at Midland this season he had an ERA, I think, around 2.80. His ERA on the season now is around 3. He's added a sweeper to his arsenal as well. He doesn't have overpowering stuff, but he has great control. He really hardly walks anyone, which is great to see in a pitcher. And he really knows how to locate his pitches. And he's more of a pitcher than a thrower, but he's tremendous success now that he's finally been healthy this year. And also, it's great to see JT Ginn has been healthy this season too, and he's been performing really well. I talked to A's minor league pitching coordinator Gil Patterson last week, and he told me that JT Ginn's sinker and changeup are both looking like they're at major league level at this point. And JT Ginn's last 3 starts, you'll be glad to know, he went at least 6 innings in each of his last 3 starts, and 2 of his last 3 starts, he hasn't allowed to run. He's thrown at least 6 scoreless innings in 2 of his last 3 starts.
I'm looking for a trophy. I don't have a trophy to give him, but I would.
I know it. That's the Iron Man trophy, I think you get for that, right?
Give him Bernie Brewer. I'll give him something. I don't know. I'm gonna give him.
JT Ginn, the A's new Iron Man. So, Hoagland and Ginn are both pitching well at Vegas at this point. So they could be in the mix next spring. And then Luis Morales, who I mentioned, our Cuban import, I think in the last month or so, he's got an ERA of 2.70. On the seasons, it's about 3.5. But lately it's been below 3. And, he's really been throwing his fastball and his slider well for Lansing. They're kind of keeping him on an innings limit this season. He's probably going to end up around 75, 80 innings this season, but he's been pitching really well in the second half. And then we've talked about Grant Holman, the reliever at Vegas. He's given up 3 earned runs this entire season. So he's another guy that could be coming. And I don't know if you remember Ryan Cusick, who, also like JT Ginn had a lot of injury issues. Well, they've moved him to the bullpen now, and he's been throwing really well out of the bullpen in Midland. I think he hasn't allowed a run in 8 appearances. I think he's allowed 2 earned runs and 12 innings of relief at Midland, and he's kind of looking like maybe he could follow that kind of Grant Holman path. A guy who maybe didn't have a wide array of pitches moves to the bullpen, and suddenly his stuff really plays up in that role. So there are a lot of interesting guys, I think, coming along. I think in terms of the starters, again, Hoagland and Ginn at the top of the system. Luis Morales has been looking great, and then Grant Holman and Ryan Cusick could be a couple of potential relief arms in the mix as well.
Holman, we keep hearing Holman. We've gotten reports, inside report. He's coming. When are we getting this kid out of Cal?
Well, that's a great question. I mean, he could be one of those guys that they're waiting for the September call-ups on. I think he was that long ago. So sometimes when there's guys who've been in the system a little longer, they're a little closer to minor league free agency or Rule 5 eligibility, you kind of push those guys a little faster to try to get a look at them. You know, Grant Holman's not quite in that danger zone so much as some of these other guys. So I think, you know, maybe one of the reasons they've waited on him, but I would expect that they'd want to get a look at him in the A's bullpen come September anyway. So hopefully he stays healthy.
Now. Why September? Why? I don't get that. Why September? This kid, he's dominated. What September?
Yeah.
We need arms now.
Yeah, I mean, I got no problem with it. They want to call him up tomorrow. I'm on board. But, you know, if you look at a lot of these guys the A's have in the bullpen right now, they're guys who, you know, have the potential to be minor league free agents in the offseason. If they're not put on the 40-man, they'll certainly be Rule 5 eligible. So a lot of these guys that are in the danger zone are the ones they want to take a look at first. So that's why I'm imagining that maybe by the time we get to September, we'll see Grant Holman. But, you know, we're certainly going to see him sooner or later. But I think right now they're trying to evaluate some of these guys that might be vulnerable if they're not on the 40-man on the offseason, and just try to figure out what they've got in some of these other relief arms that they've got in the bullpen right now.
You know what? Right there is a great example of what you just said. There's a business here.
Mm-hmm.
And too many times we as fans, we freak out. Why they do this and why there is a business. There are decisions that are made, and they're business decisions. And, yeah, bringing guys up who, if you got to figure out, because if you don't make a commitment to them, you could lose them. As you said, minor league free agents, Rule 5 draft, as we saw with Mitch Spence. Yankees lost him. I mean, there is the business side that we don't always think about when we talk about the front office and what the heck are they doing?
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of 40-man roster decisions you're going to have to make in the offseason. There's a lot of guys that they're going to have to add to the 40-man or be in danger of losing, and I think that's what they're thinking about, and that's what they're looking at right now. You know, these, you know, your Tyler Ferguson, Otanias, and, you know, these guys, you know, who's really worth, you know, 40-man roster spot in the offseason when these tough decisions have to be made. They don't really have to worry about that so much with younger guys like Grant Holman. So that's why I think they're taking a look at some of these other guys right now.
I do want to see Holman, though. I mean, he looks like, I mean, you look at the test, the smell test, he looks like a guy that could be the next wave, because you think Mason Miller, Tyler Ferguson has stepped in and done a great job. Otani is kind of hit or miss, but, you know, you start adding those power arms.
Mm-hmm.
Kurtz, when you sent that about Kurtz, his first game with Stockton, he goes deep. I'll tell you, Scott Hatterberg told us all the stuff down at Arizona. What wasn't it, Arizona? Where was the where was the camp that they all went to this year?
Well, the draft was in Texas. Was it there?
I can't remember. It was in Arizona, though.
It was last year in Arizona.
The combine. Where was the combine?
I think it might have been Arizona, but I honestly can't swear.
But yeah, at the combine, they put all the sensors.
Chasefield.
They put all the sensors on. He goes, Kurtz was the best guy in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, he is a real hitter, you know. I mean, just because he wasn't talked about like some of the other guys. I mean, if you just look at his college career, I mean, he was a very solid, very consistent hitter, a guy hit for average, hit for power, takes a lot of walks, strike out a lot. I mean, he you know, you look at it and there's kind of nothing really lacking in his game. I mean, yeah, he's a first baseman. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of positional versatility, but certainly in terms of his offensive profile, you know, there's a lot to like there. And, you know, his first game at Stockton, he comes out singles, homers, gets 2 walks, you know. I mean, you know, I think he had 5 plate appearances and got on base on 4 of them, you know, and put one over the fence, you know. So you couldn't ask for much more out of him. I think he's 4 for 11 in his first 3 games there, and he's had 3 walks as well. I mean, you know, he's a hitter, you know, who should move very fast like Jacob Wilson. I mean, I kind of thought they might start about at Lansing, actually. I mean, they had put Wilson at Lansing in his first year. But, you know, they're putting him at Stockton, and I just don't think he's going to have any trouble moving fairly quickly. As long as he stays healthy, you know, he should be able to move pretty fast, because he really is an advanced hitter. A lot of times you look at those guys who have more on plate discipline, a combo that the A's liked, and you're looking at walks and home runs, and you're like, oh, he's a three true outcomes guy, you know, except Kurtz doesn't have the one bad outcome. He doesn't strike out, you know. So you know, he just walks and hits home runs. So you know, he really has very few flaws in his offensive game. So I expect him to move pretty fast. Great to see him get off to a good start. The shortstop, Josh Kuroda-Grauer, has gotten off to a good start too. He got 3 hits in his first game at Stockton, and Tommy White and Rodney Green are both playing down there, the 2nd and 4th round picks. I think White's already got a few hits. Green's gotten a couple hits. He's been taking a lot of walks and getting on base too. So it's good to see the A's top 4 hitters from the draft, you know, getting off to a good start in Stockton and you know, looking like really, really strong additions to the system.
Advanced college guys are moving faster than ever, and the Angels are showing you that.
Yeah.
A's have always been kind of conservative, but at some point, do you join the party in that? And a guy like, because that's the thing with Muncy and Soderstrom, they're high school kids.
Yeah.
This is a ACC, Wake Forest, all the technology in the world. This kid is super advanced. I mean, you can't really expect him, if he does well, to be down there that long.
Yeah, and I think it's different now too. Things have changed, because if you're an advanced college hitter now, I think it means more than if you were an advanced college hitter 10 or 20 years ago, because you know, these college programs like Wake Forest, where Nick Kurtz comes from, you know, these are very professionally run organizations now. You know, these are big operations. You know, they really they've got all the analytics going. They've got their labs. They've got everything. So if you're coming out of those programs, you really are a much more advanced hitter. You know, you're in a much better position much more quickly than you were, say, 10 or 20 years ago. So I think, you know, if you draft an advanced college hitter now out of a big program, you expect, okay, you know, this guy can move fast. We don't have to take our time here. You know, this guy's already halfway there. I mean, you know, certainly as you know, these programs like Wake Forest, they've got a lot more to offer these players than a lot of the minor league facilities do, you know, so they're coming out really, really ready to go. That's one of the, you know, you could see Jacob Wilson, how fast he's moved. Hopefully Nick Kurtz does something similar. But yeah, these good hitters coming out of advanced college programs are, you know, are bound to be fast movers in this day and age.
All right. I was driving up, listening to A's Cast, driving up to the game, and you and Gil were having a great conversation. I texted you right after. 10-man rotations. I understand it. I know he doesn't love it. He likes it, but thinks there could be some tweaks. That's kind of what he said with you, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I understand we're getting to look at a lot of different guys. I get it. And I guess we understand that a lot of relievers come from failed starters anyway.
Right.
But are you really teaching guys to pitch? I don't know. It's interesting. I like the aspect. So basically, folks, what we're talking about is every 5 days, we have 2 guys essentially. Every day there's 2 starters going. You got one guy who essentially it's almost like a relay race. You run the first part of the race, and then I pass the baton to you, and you run the rest of the race. So you have 2 starters going every single day. So essentially have 10 starters. You like it, not like it? What do you think?
Well, I think there's pros and cons. So, and again, the A's have just been doing this at the lower levels at Lansing and Stockton this season. You have these 10-man rotations comprised of 5 2-man tandems going every 5th day. And the, you know, I mean, the thinking for them is, first of all, at that level, you're really not entirely sure which of these guys are going to pan out. You know, I mean, you've got a lot of wild cards. You know, maybe you're a top draft pick or an international signing. You're Luis Morales, Steven Echeverria. You're like, okay, this guy's going to be a starter.
You're Robert Poisson.
Yeah. Let's not even go there. But most of these pitchers, you just don't know how they're going to play out. So the thought is, okay, you're giving a lot more guys a chance to audition as starters at the lower levels. You see who pans out, who takes to it, and then, you know, once you get to AA, okay, you've sifted the wheat from the chaff, and you can see who's really going to be a starter and who's really going to be a reliever going further up the chain. The other thing is they do feel that going a little slower with some of these guys at the lower levels will. And I do have to say that this season the A's have not had a lot of pitching injuries in the minor leagues. The last couple of years, there were, I mean,
Knock
relatively.
Knock on wood. Knock on wood.
I mean, the last couple of years, just have so many guys on the IL. I keep a running list, and it would just be so endless, and this season they really haven't had quite so many. So is that partially due to this process? I don't know. I can't say for certain, but I do know there have been less injuries this season, so that's another benefit from it. But of course, you're not on the downside, you're not building up guys' ability to throw, 6 or 7 innings. That's for sure, But the guys at Midland at AA this year have been pitching a little more innings. Those starters have been going a little deeper. So I think they're taking them a little slower early on, auditioning a lot more guys in the starter roles, seeing who's fit to be a starter, who's fit to be a reliever, maybe keeping them a little healthier. And then by the time they get to Midland, we know who's cut out to be a starter, and we can stretch them out a little more and let those guys go a little longer at that point, now that we've gone a little easier with them down in A-ball. So, I mean, there are pros and cons to it, but I think so far, if you look at it in general this season, I think it's probably been a pro on the health side. It's been a pro in terms of determining who's starter going forward, and I don't think we've seen tremendous cons out of it. Like guys like Steven Echeverria, they're letting him throw deeper into games than they do a lot of these guys, because he's more of a promising top pitching prospect. So if you're one of those guys, they're letting you go a little deeper. They're giving you a little more leash. So there are tweaks that are being made to it too. But I think on the whole, it hasn't hurt anything anyway, and I think they've learned a little something and stayed a little healthier this season.
So how many guys do you have in the bullpen that are not starters? 3, 4?
No. Typically, because the minor league rosters are bigger, remember. So at Lansing and Stockton, you've got 30-man rosters, so they've basically been able to
30-man rosters.
Yeah, Vegas and Midland have 28-man rosters, and
has it always been that way?
It's been adjusted over the last few years when they did the minor league reshuffle, a few years
ago.
Of
minor league teams.
Yeah, when they got rid of a good 20-25% of minor league teams, they also expanded the some of the rosters and changed some of the roster limits.
Yeah, it sucks if you're a reliever, because
well, they've had about, on average, they've had 5 or 6 relievers in the bullpens at Stockton and Lansing this year, because they're able to carry more pitchers with the expanded rosters. So, they've had enough relievers. They throw those guys. Sometimes they throw them in between the first starter and the second starter. Or sometimes if a guy blows up early, you need some of those guys coming in. But yeah, they've usually had 5 or 6 arms coming in and out of the bullpen at Lansing and Stockton this year.
Let's end on this. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking about it during the post-game show. I didn't go with it. I wanted to save it, but I think now is a good time. Are we going to have to change the way the 40-man works because of the amount of pitchers we have to use to get through a season?
Yeah, it's interesting, because sometimes the game or player usage will change, and yet sort of rules and structures don't. And as you know, I mean, the number of pitchers required has just gone up tremendously. I mean, I remember when I was a kid, a lot of teams would carry a total of 9 pitchers. That was the whole pitching staff would be 9 pitchers. Now you've got 13, and teams would love to have more if you let them. It's gotten so crazy. But Major League Baseball has been talking about actually trying to reduce the number of pitchers that teams are allowed to carry, and getting back to sort of encourage getting back to having starters go deeper into games. Whether that's something that eventually happens, I don't know. But I think a lot of people in the commissioner's office would like to see starters going deeper, teams using fewer pitchers. But I think most front offices are kind of going in the other direction. They'd love to be carrying 14 pitchers if they could.
I'm dealing in reality. What are we at right now? Pitchers used in Major League Baseball this year.
Coming into today, 775.
We're going to break the record last year of 863. That's what I'm saying. We're always like, well, is he on the 40-man? Can we call him up? It's like, we're moving these guys so much, and they're getting hurt. It's like, it's almost like the 40-man has become something that's archaic, just for the reality. We can't keep guys healthy. You got to have pitchers pitch in the big leagues. It just seems like the 40-man's not working.
Yeah, well, I mean, there are many different ways you go about it. Well, what if you just make it a 42-man roster and you can have a couple more pitchers on the 40-man and, move guys up and down much more easily? You probably noticed this season, a lot of these guys that the A's veteran minor leaguers in Vegas, they'll call them up, when they're shorthanded. They'll throw a few games, and then these guys are out of options, and they'll just designate assignment. It's like we just need to keep these arms around to come up and fill a spot for a few games, and then we got to DFA them, and see if they clear waivers or whatever. So it's definitely gotten really tricky for pitchers for teams to get the pitchers they need onto the roster. And I mean, it's almost every day you see some pitcher being claimed off waivers because teams are having to bring guys up so often and then designate them for assignment or put them on waivers. And there's just so much movement going on there. It would be great if there was a way, to be able to have the arms you need without having to jump through all these hoops. And change takes time, and sometimes it never even happens. So no matter how much time you give it. So we'll see. The pitcher usage has changed, and certainly the rules and structures in baseball involving pitcher usage haven't really changed much.
Well, we'll leave you with this. In 2023, there were more Tommy John surgeries on professional pitchers than the entire decade of the 90s. 1 year. 1 year, 2023, more than the entire decade of the 90s.
Well, as you know, if you go out there and try to get every pitcher to throw as hard as they possibly can every time they're out there, it's gonna cause a little wear and tear on your arm, and these days guys are throwing harder than ever, more consistently than ever, and that's gonna cause some breakdown. And I think, a lot of teams at this point just kind of take that as par for the course, and again, that creates greater churn of pitchers. I mean, man, when there were 24 teams and they had 9 or 10 pitchers, there were between like 200, 240.
He froze on us.
Yeah.
Should take a picture of him and go, this is what you look like frozen.
It's actually not bad.
Do it. Take a picture. This is what you look. If you were frozen in time, this is your look. Bill's fabulous. Sorry we lost him. We got to get to Manaea anyway, right?
Yeah, I'll take him off for now.
Okay.
I'll tell him that he froze, and we'll just.
He was great. He was absolutely great. Do you want to go to Manaea? What time's pregame?
3:30, but we should get to Manaea now because we got to go out right after that.
All right. Earlier today, our old buddy Sean Manaea. Love him. Great guy. Known him for a long time. Was with the A's for a long time. And, I got him to be the pitcher of the National League of the Month in my hot takes. I love me some Sean Manaea. Caught up with him earlier today right here for A's Cast Live. Is here, A's fans. He's an all-time favorite. Sean Manaea with us from Citi Field. How are you? How's life? And how is the Big Apple treating you?
It's great. Loving New York. Very different than California and the Bay Area, but having a great time out here, and just going through the season. So very excited where we're at and how things are going. So can't complain.
And very different from Indiana, where you grew up.
Very, very much so. Yeah.
I'm happy for you this year because you're back to doing what you do best. That's starting games. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you had 2 great starts at the end of July and the start of August. I know last year was tough. Just how nice is it for you in your career getting back to, hey, I'm a starter and I'm taking the ball every 5 days?
Yeah, it's great. From a routine standpoint, just personally where I think I should be is starting games, and I feel really good about that. And at the end of the day, I'm feeling healthy. And last year, same kind of deal. Felt healthy, and as long as I'm doing that, then I feel like I can contribute, and I feel like I'm doing that right now. So feeling good where we're at, and just having a fun time doing it.
Before we get into the Mets and how things are going, just update us. How's life? What's going on with the life? Has the family grown? Where are we now?
Yeah, life's great. Got engaged this off season, so getting married this off season. Very excited about that. Other than that, just baseball, grinding away, working out. Mom and dad are doing good, so yeah, family life is good.
Well, and the thing about the Mets, it's like, people didn't think the Mets had any chance this year, right? They're getting rid of players, paying, our buddy Mark Canha's gone and Verlander's gone. Sure, all these guys are gone. And next thing you know, here you guys are. You're right in the thick of things. What's that been like?
Yeah, I mean, we started off the year not so well, and we kind of had a turning point, and from then it's been a lot of fun. But I think we had to go through it to get to this point, and we definitely put ourselves in a good position. So to be where we started and where we're at now has been a big climb, but the boys in here are awesome. Just like pretty much everywhere else I've been. We definitely want to win like anybody does, and I think we've done a pretty good job at that, and just been a lot of fun so far this year.
Well, it looks like you guys, I mean, I'm watching games. You guys are singing, "Oh my God," you're having videos. I mean, you look like you guys are having a great time.
Yeah, the whole OMG thing has been such a fun thing to be a part of. I don't think I'd ever dreamt of having a concert on the field with a teammate that came up with the song and then sang it in front of 40,000 people. But I did that, and that was a very, very cool thing to be able to say I've done on a baseball field. So pretty awesome.
Okay, so I got to see it on MLB Network, right? And I'm just wondering, from your perspective, were you like going, "This is really happening? This is really going on"?
Yeah, we were all in the clubhouse, and somebody said it's go time, and we're all like, "All right, let's do this thing." And I think I was a little more nervous. I obviously wasn't doing anything. I think I just held up the OMG sign, but just something you never like practice for. At least I don't. And he killed it. He had all the swagger and confidence, and knocked it out of the park. And yeah, it was really cool to be a part of that.
Yeah, now becoming a Latin pop star and being a young man in New York City, that can't be a bad deal whatsoever. Talk about that change, right? I mean, you grow up in the Midwest, you get traded to Oakland, you play in San Diego, then you play in San Francisco. Obviously, you've played all these years in New York, but now you're living in New York, playing in New York. What's been the big difference?
Well, compared to California, it's I feel like it's a lot more faster paced. I take the train in and kind of commute like that. I feel like I'm living like a New Yorker, at least from my perspective. My mom and dad were out here, and we took them to Times Square at midnight, and growing up in Indiana where we did, you just see New York on TV, and it's like, oh, this is where the ball drops, and just all the people, and it's just a lot. But when you're living here, it just kind of you blend in everything, and just like living anywhere else. So just a different way of life, but I'm loving it, and always down for a new adventure.
Yeah, it's fun to kind of do the touristy things, isn't it? Like you always flew in, play games, flew out. Now on off days, you get to explore and do things you never got to do before.
Oh yeah, I mean we've walked around a lot, all over this place, done all the touristy things, done them a couple times, seen the Statue of Liberty, Times Square, Central Park, all those things, and I think anywhere you go, you just kind of you have to, it's like. Going to see Alcatraz or something like that. Like, you just got to do it once just to say you've done it, and then you can just, move on from there. But, there's so many cool things in New York, and, definitely happy that I'm living here and able to explore it.
You, for me, it was just a guy that's going to give me 30 starts, going to give me innings. How does it feel to be back to being that guy? Because you're on pace to get back what you used to do with the A's.
At the end of the day, I can just only rely on my routines and controlling what I can control. And last couple of years have been tough, but they've been like learning lessons. And, I definitely think they've helped me in the long run, and just being able to, maneuver things and, get back on track in certain ways. So, being able to start and be an effective starter and trying to eat up some innings, it's all I really want to do. And, I feel like I'm at least accomplished some of those goals, and, just helping this team win. So it's been a lot of fun, and, definitely been having a good time there.
We're starting there's 3 homestands left in the Coliseum, and I have never taken your bobblehead down because you were always great to us, and you've always been one of my favorites. And ever since you came over, you were never a guy like a lot of people come over and it's kind of like your first time with your media experience. You've always just rolled with it. It's been great, but I've always kept this up.
Yeah.
I've always kept this thing up.
That's amazing.
We'll never forget that day. So when we talk about Coliseum moments, you have a lot of Coliseum moments, but that day going up against a really, really good Boston Red Sox team. I mean, really good Boston Red Sox team. And to throw that no, it was exactly April 21st, 2018. Take us back to that moment.
Yeah, I mean, it was just like any other day. I'd gotten rocked by the Sox, I think like 2 or 3 times before that, especially at Fenway. My numbers are not good there, but just like any other day, just, going through it. And then, after the 3rd, 4th inning, I was like, okay, we're feeling good. And then, the 5th and 6th happened, and, Marcus dropped the ball. And from then I thought, the no-hitter was over. So I was just like, all right, whatever, let's just continue to pitch and try to get outs. And then I look up in the 7th or 8th and, still see zeros up there. I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? And then, before I know it, got threw a no-hitter. It was incredible. I don't really know how else to describe it. It's, such a huge accomplishment in my career, and definitely something I can, always be proud of. And it's funny because JD's, playing, he's my teammate now, and he was on that team, and, we was kind of jab at each other because, I got him that day, but, ever since then, he's gotten me too. So, we have that back and forth, but it's all good fun. So it's great.
We've been having these Alumni Sunday events, bringing people back, and we recently brought back Chad Pender. And I did the interview with Chad Pender, and it's like so funny how talkative he is now. He's kind of out of his shell. And he talks about still to this day, the text threads, how close that group of A's players were. I remember how close you guys were as starters. We just saw Chris Bassett up in Toronto. When you think back of your time in Oakland with those guys, what do you think of?
She hits the nail on the head. Like that group that we had from, really the end of middle of 17 until 21. It's like that core group was, so special. And, obviously a lot of those guys are, some of those guys are still playing and, doing very well. Ollie, Chap, Frankie, Bass, it's so cool that, we started from, one organization and have all kind of like moved on. And, you kind of form those bonds from the minor leagues up, and then, you're in the big leagues, and then you find success and you make the playoffs, and, you're playing in Yankee Stadium or in the wild card game. And it's just, you go through so much, and, to be able to go to war, every day with those guys is just made it that much better. And, always love those guys, and, very, very special group of friends right there.
Well, we always appreciate the time. We're rooting for you from afar. Good luck the rest of the way. Hopefully you can get into that. As we know, you just got to get in, right? I think Texas and Arizona proved that to us last year. Hopefully you guys track down those Braves too. That would be a lot of fun to see you guys track down the Braves. Best wishes, my friend. We'll talk to you later on in your baseball journey, but good luck the rest of the season.
Thank you so much, Tom. Great seeing you, as always.
Good dude. Sean Manaea spent a long time in the A's organization. If you remember back, traded for Ben Zobrist.
2015.
And he was in the organization for a long time. Just good people. And it's always fun to see how people develop, right, as they get older. Sean Manaea was always cool. From the very first time I interviewed him to right there. You know, some guys change, some guys mature, some guys are real nervous when they first come on. Like Max Schumann was super nervous the first time he came on, right? Max Muncy was super nervous when he was 18. Look how Tyler Soderstrom has grown interview-wise. So you watch these guys grow, and you have a soft spot for the really good people. And I root for Sean Manaea. I know he's about 32 years old. He's made some good money. I'd like to see him pitch for many more years. And, you know, there was that point to where he couldn't stay healthy, but then he became that guy that went, hey, Sean Manaea is going to give us 30 starts.
I mean, he was part of the last staff to have, 4 10-game winners for the A's. I know we're going to go to 2021 because we were talking about it with JP Sears getting there. And
he had back-to-back seasons of 30 starts, you know? I mean, if Sean Manaea stays in Oakland, he probably has a very good run of at least 30 starts a year. If things would have just worked out where he stayed here and Bob Melvin was the manager, because obviously things didn't go well in San Diego and things didn't go so hot in San Francisco, but you would probably say this would probably be his 5th straight year of 30-something starts if he never left here.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I mean, he'd be the guy leading the top of the rotation. Wouldn't say he's an ace, but he'd be the guy.
You and your aces.
He'd be the top of the rotation for sure.
You know, for you, like the NFL is perfect for you now. The NFL is perfect for you. We've got like the 6 highest paid quarterbacks in the NFL, and not one has won anything.
Whoa.
Was Patrick Mahomes in the top 6?
Whoa.
He was in the top, but is he still in the top?
I mean, he's making like $500 million. I think he's a top.
But no, in the top, like annual, like
AAV,
Joe Burrow's number 1. Like, I mean, your top quarterbacks haven't won a thing.
Oh, well, Brock Purdy's going to reset the market next year, they said.
You like guy. You like potential guys.
Jared Goff's up there. I think Goff might be the highest paid quarterback.
Is he really?
Unless someone broke it.
Somebody sent me the list, and not one guy had won a thing. I don't know if it's AAV or what is it?
It's at the most guaranteed money.
Yeah, here we go.
Deshaun Watson.
Nothing.
Burrow.
Nothing.
Herbert.
Nothing.
Lawrence.
Nothing. Lamar Jackson. Nothing. Jalen Hurts. Nothing. Goff. Nothing.
Tua.
Nothing. So you're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Your top 8 quarterbacks, most guaranteed money, top 8 have not won a thing.
Between them, there's a total.
I mean, Joe Burrow got to a Super Bowl. Hurts has been to the postseason. Lamar Jackson's been to the post. But
Goff went to Super Bowl.
Goff went to a Super Bowl. Nobody's won a Super Bowl. Guys who've won Super Bowl are not the highest paid guy. I mean, Tom Brady was never the highest paid guy.
No, well, do you know how much money he's making as a broadcaster now?
Well, what does that have to do?
I'm just saying, like this. Think about Tom Brady as a player. He's going to make more money as a broadcaster than he did as a quarterback.
And it was smart because that means there's more money to go around, right? Aaron Rodgers wanted all this money. Next thing you know, he turns around. No, where's my weapons? Oh, we're paying you.
Yeah, exactly.
But isn't that amazing? That's your kind of that. Pay the potential instead of pay the guys you can trust, the steady Eddie guys.
Well, recently there's only been one guy that's won Super Bowls in the NFL, and it's Mahomes, and the other guy's retired. So
Patrick Mahomes is awesome.
Think about it.
Patrick Mahomes is all. I mean, he's got 3 Super Bowls now. Patrick Mahomes is already an NFL Hall of Famer, and Patrick Mahomes is going to go down as an all-time great.
Just think about it.
That's my hot take Wednesday.
Oh wow! Is
that a hot take?
If you look back at it,
anybody who hates on Patrick Mahomes literally has no idea about the NFL.
The last 5 quarterbacks for it that win a Super Bowl were Mahomes, Brady, Mahomes, and I forget who won it before Brady did it with. Or Mahomes did it the year before Kansas City won. Oh, Nick Foles, who beat Brady.
That's the last non-Brady Mahomes quarterback. Nicky Foles.
Arizona. Foles, Mahomes, Brady, Mahomes. That's your quarterbacks. No wonder everyone's getting paid. And none of them win, except for Mahomes.
They don't win this year.
Oh, well, hot take.
Hot take.
Mark the tape.
Hot take.
Chiefs aren't winning. You're saying the Taylor Swift honeymoon's over?
They still dating?
I think so.
Is that going to be another big thing? We need an A's player to date somebody famous.
My wife goes, "Hey, can you get me tickets to see Chiefs and 49ers?" Taylor Swift. I'm like, that's a Super Bowl rematch. She goes, "I didn't even think about that." Yeah, she thinks
no problem.
She thinks,
what do you need? You want to be on the sidelines too? What do you need?
She thinks all the people are coming to see Taylor. You understand that's a Super Bowl rematch, right?
Where's the game?
Here.
Why does she think Taylor Swift? Taylor Swift doesn't go there. Taylor Swift will be there for the playoffs. She's not there for every regular season game.
Was she there for some regular season game? I think in Kansas City, I think she was there. Road games, I don't know. I don't care.
I do. She's on tour making billions.
Oh, she's on tour for some of the games I know this year too.
Yeah, so I mean, she's not going to be at every single. So your wife wants to go to the game, so she can't see Taylor Swift, just knowing that Taylor Swift is in a suite that's guarded by like.
You're talking about my wife who flew to Scotland alone.
Yeah, at least she saw her at the concert. You're not going to see her in the booth.
That's true.
You're going to see her on television when they show her on the booth 8,000 times.
Oh yeah, you can see her more there.
Does that bother you?
What? She wants to go? No, because it's not my money.
No. Does it bother you showing Taylor Swift during games?
Not at all.
Because you can't, because you'd be a hypocrite, because the Livy Dunn now is being shown all the time.
Then we'd have to call you Pittsburgh.
We'd have to call you a Skeens hypocrite.
Well, hey, that magic's worn off. They've lost 10 in a row. So
I'm telling you right now, I wish an A's player would start dating somebody famous. We need an A's player to start dating a social media influencer.
So you need someone that was like Jose dating Madonna.
Yeah, but you really didn't know, and that was kind of paparazzi. And now social media. We need an A's player to date somebody who is a social media influencer, millions of followers. That's what we need.
Well, maybe we'll eventually. Our team's young.
We got options. Yeah. We got a bunch of good-looking kids,
and they're young. They figure it out.
It'd be great for us. Can you imagine that?
Book them on the show.
Brent on the show. She retweets it, and it's to 15 million people. I'm going on the show. And next thing you know, we got
people are like, who are those guys?
Who are those idiots?
But then you see our A's Cast Twitter following just.
Hey, we got Bernie Brewer.
Mark Kotze is the Mandalorian.
Oh, don't forget, we got a Shooty Babbitt golf ball now. Thank you, Shooty, for giving that to Cody.
All right, we have.
Do you think she'd appreciate my Jose Canseco collection of bobbleheads?
I think they're all too old for her.
The big three? Come on, the big three.
That was too early. I guess so. I mean,
Raleigh Fingers. He's one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Ricky Henderson, Superman.
You got a better chance of them knowing Sean Manaea or the Chihuahua.
What else could I bust out?
Or Otani.
How about the Rally Monkey? Would that impress her? What else we got around here?
Where's Nolan?
Oh, wait a minute. From Road Trip Mike, the Notre Dame golf towel. Play like a champion. I got all kinds of. I'll put beers in here. It's my old Raider bucket. I still got this. It's football season, my friend.
We're almost there. Almost there.
All righty.
Aiden O'Connell or Gardner Minshew. Can't wait to see how that fight goes down. What do you mean? I got to worry about Justin Fields or Russell Wilson. Actually, I don't know. That might be better.
Ron Darling, fabulous. Bill Moriarty, always the best. No one's best covering the minor leagues, the A's minor league system than Bill. And then, of course, thank you, Sean Manaea. We'll always be a big fan, and we'll root for you. And I don't know why. I would love to see the Mets take down the Braves.
Well, they're 2 back, so they got to keep.
I've never disliked the Braves, but this year I'd love to see the Braves fail. Is that wrong of me?
No, just start winning games after this series.
Oh, my God. We got to get out of here.
Yeah.
A's baseball coming up next right here on A's Cast and the A's Radio Network.
Where does one community end and the next begin? Across the railroad tracks? On the other side of the river? Is it between the east side and the west side? At Comerica Bank, we believe it's all one community, and we're all part of it. That's why Comerica has invested over $20 million for affordable housing, financial education, and workforce development in lower-income communities. Because when we raise expectations for everyone, we all rise. Member FDIC, Equal Opportunity Lender.
Being a Chevron car these days has been quite the adventure. Miami to Seattle, ocean to ocean. I've stopped at so many states and collected so many bumper stickers. Sometimes I feel like a moving passport book. It's just so great what I can do with Chevron with Techron, because it gives me unbeatable mileage and keeps my engine clean. Plus, there are so many chevrons along the way. Now the only thing I'm worried about is where to go next and where to put all my new bumper stickers. Chevron with Techron, fueled by possibility.
If you haven't been to the Chicken Pie Shop in Walnut Creek, what are you waiting for? You're going to love the new menu, and it's a great place to watch all the pennant race action and the upcoming NFL and college football seasons. Come taste their world-famous chicken pie that has been served in Southern California for 86 years. Spacious indoor and outdoor dining, perfect for your next corporate party or birthday celebration. Don't forget free parking. For more information, go to chickenpieshopwc.com. That's chickenpieshopwc.com.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.